Alright, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I am your host for today, Simon Villanoz, aka Coach V, and this is episode 245, week 6 of your NAIA flag football season here. And I'm here to recap all of it. Another pretty big week as well. Not as big as last week's with the flag football frenzy and all that stuff. Make sure you check out that episode 243. That was a good one. Got to learn a lot about some of these newer programs. I mean, we already knew everything I knew pretty much everything about, some of these Sun Conference teams, but also got to see some of their depth as well. Plus, a very thrilling game between Kansas Wesleyan and Midland. But that was last week. Let's go ahead and talk about this week here, starting with Midland versus Bethel to start the week. By the way, I am recording this on March 23rd, 2023, at least this segment here, and this game happened on March 22nd, 2023. But Midland, they go ahead and travel down to Kansas to go play Bethel here. Midland suffering their first loss of the season last week to Kansas Wesleyan in the closing seconds. Bethel, on the other hand, I believe they had about a week off and, looking to get back at it as they are still a newer program. This is only their third game here. And so here's how it goes. So, Midland, this is a couple of minutes in, about 2 minutes 30 seconds, about 4th and 9. Not quite in the red zone. I believe they are on the edge here. And so here's what happens. Michaela Nunez in at quarterback. They go ahead and go for it. She goes deep, but this ball is incomplete. And so that's a quick turnover on downs, giving Bethel an opportunity here. But Bethel, unfortunately, couldn't get anything going, go 3 and out. Sydney Red had a pretty big sack that would kill that drive. And so here we go. Midland with the ball back, about a minute left. Midland actually starts in the red zone because of a deflection by Kobe J. Shout out her. Just getting a good hand on the ball here and basically just batting it down. And so they start in the red zone. About 1st and 10 here. They go ahead and run an option, it looks like, and then pitch it to Jocelyn Lopez. That's good for about 5 or so yards, so that makes it 2nd and 5 here. And on 2nd and 5, Nunez drops back, goes ahead and hits the out route to Casey Thompson, the veteran, the reliable receiver, linebacker, goes ahead and brings it in and gives Midland the 6-0 lead. Extra point is no good. And so there you go. That's all the action in the first quarter. Let's go into the second quarter here. Bethel is still trying to get something going. I think Kyla Rome is back there at quarterback, and she throws a nice little out route here to, I want to say it's number 24 or something like that. She's not listed on the Bethel roster, which is interesting, but she makes a nice one-handed catch. That gets them a 1st down here, but a couple more pressures by Sydney Red would eventually force a 4th down play, a 4th down situation here, and they decide to go ahead and punt it back to Midland. And Midland, they get stopped just before midfield here with about 9 minutes 34 seconds left. After a mistimed option, it is 2nd down here, and on 2nd down, Michaela Nunez rolls out left and goes deep, but this one is incomplete, just out of range here, and so that brings up 3rd down. And on this play here, Nunez takes off and just goes ahead and gets the 1st down past midfield for about 10 plus yards. A good gain here by Michaela Nunez to get them set up with the 1st down. And then here on 1st down, Michaela Nunez hits a receiver over the middle who takes it all the way to the house for a 30-yard touchdown. Couldn't quite get the number on that one, but this was just a really good throw by Nunez over the middle. A little dangerous, but definitely threaded the needle here, and a great all-hands catch by this receiver to go ahead and make that play and then slip a tackle and make it a score, making it 12-0 here. Casey Thompson would then get the extra point catch on the drag route. That makes it 13-0. Now, once again, Bethel, they start this drive with a 1st down here. Kyla Rome hitting her center, who goes ahead and gets them that 1st down for about 10 yards or so. But once more. Bethel struggles to get something going. Swing route goes for maybe 3. Following that, Rome goes over the middle to Von Fisher, who gets a tough catch for 2. And then I believe there was an incompletion there. Sorry, that last play was 3rd down. But there was an incompletion in there as well. And so they don't get many yards, only 5 or so on this drive after the 1st down. And so Bethel decides to punt it once more on 4th down. Now, Midland looking to make it a 3-score game. They get the party started with this 1st down play. Michaela Nunez goes ahead and throws the hitch route to Olivia Dominguez-Millsap, who then tries to lateral it back. Luckily enough, she's deep enough for a 1st down, and the lateral didn't hurt them that much. And so there you go. That is a 1st down. A couple plays in, though, it is 3rd and 5. Michaela Nunez rolls out left and finds Casey Thompson on the curl, who makes a nice catch and gets about 16 yards past midfield and a 1st down. So 1st down here past midfield. Michaela Nunez drops back and throws a nice little touch throw right over the safety. The safety probably didn't play this ball as well as she could have, but this is just a really good throw by Nunez, who finds her receiver in stride, and her receiver is Olivia Dominguez-Millsap, who goes ahead and almost scores here, but is stopped just short, but gets a huge gain of about 20 or so yards, but she gets stopped basically at the line here, that line being the end zone here, and so they're in the red zone. 1st down. Michaela Nunez just goes ahead and runs this one in, making it 19-0. Adding on that extra point actually makes it 20-0. Once again, going to Olivia Dominguez-Millsap on that one. So all Midland here as they lead 20-0. Now, Bethel once more would get a 1st down on a designed quarterback run to Kyla Rome, but after that they would once again punt it after a couple incompletions and almost an interception here. Midland would have 41 seconds to go here, but after like 2 incompletions, they just decide to go ahead and let the clock run here as they lead 20-0. And honestly, at this point, the game is pretty much over here. Bethel would not be able to score. Midland would go ahead and put in their backup quarterback, Angel Iwani here, for like a drive, but a Mackenzie Harkins interception would basically result in her getting taken out. And then that's when they put back in Michaela Nunez, who would eventually find Olivia Dominguez-Millsap for the touchdown, making it 26-0, truly putting this one away. Extra point on that was no good. But in the 4th quarter, Iwani would go back in, throw 2 touchdowns, I believe, and get an extra point, making it 40-0, and that is the final score. Midland defeats Bethel 40-0. Player of the game, Michaela Nunez here, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown in this game, having another very good game as Midland moves on here, getting a big time bounce back dub. Now let's go ahead and move on and talk about the second game of the day, March 22nd, 2023, and that is Cottey versus the University of St. Mary. They are in Cottey for this one. Cottey, going on the road, playing some really tough teams. Thomas, Weber, Warner, 3 of those teams are in our top 5 in our power rankings, so there you go. And then they also play teams, new programs, as in Reinhardt and Campbellsville, losing a close one to Reinhardt, and then just having a very uncharacteristic game against Campbellsville. And so here we go, they're back at home. Right now, they're actually undefeated at home right here at 2-0, and so they play the University of St. Mary, who played Midland, I believe, a couple weeks ago and just struggled in that game, not getting anything really on offense, and then also being shorthanded, only having 7 players dressed. This game a little bit different here. First, let's start with Cottey here. No Angelina Cruz. That's obviously tough. It looked like she did get an injury last week, so they're probably playing it safe here, which is, that's fine. That makes sense. So there you go there. And then Daniela Goodrich is available for this one, but I don't believe she was playing both ways as much as she usually does. So just keep that in mind. And then we have the University of St. Mary here. So didn't have Jerica Johnson last game, at least I don't believe so. They went ahead and have her for this one. They also have Shannon Cooley for this one as well, and so I believe they actually have one player on the sideline now. But getting back both of your veteran receivers slash defensive players as well, that is absolutely huge for St. Mary. And so let's go ahead and pick up here with about 5 minutes in the first quarter. The University of St. Mary has the football. NAIA Hooks just before midfield goes ahead and gets this game started with a huge play to Jerica Johnson on the post route. That goes for about 30 plus yards, a first down past midfield here. But a couple plays later, it's 3rd and 1 here, just on the edge of the red zone. Hooks hits the out route, in stride, but it is dropped. Couldn't see the number on this one, and so now it's 4th down here. Now 4th down, they go ahead and call a designed quarterback run to NAIA Hooks. She gets the first down. That puts them in the red zone, I believe, for the first time today here. And so in the red zone, they go ahead and throw the post route here. Hooks hits the post route. That goes for a huge gain, and that basically puts them on the 1 on a 15-plus yard gain. And then following that, NAIA Hooks goes ahead and hits the out route for the early St. Mary touchdown and lead, making it 6-0. Extra point is no good, and I was not able to get the receiver on that one. The cameraman or woman was going crazy with the zoom in and out, so I just saw Hooks throwing the out route and it was open. So there you go, that's the lead. Now, minute 6 seconds left here in the first quarter. Cottey trying to get something going. Maya Karula goes ahead and finds Daniela Goodrich on the out route. She goes ahead and makes it 2nd and 1. Following that, Karula goes deep, but the safety reads it really well and bats this one down. Doesn't matter though, as Karula eventually finds Tanaya Bolden on the out route. That gives them a first down here, and that's where they pick up here in the second quarter here, where Karula takes a shot deep to Joliet Johnson on a beautiful deep vertical throw, and Johnson brings this one in before getting stopped at the edge of the red zone. Good throw here, good catch by Johnson, and so that one goes for at least 30 plus yards, also puts them past midfield here. Following that play though, Karula on the run goes ahead and makes a defender miss before getting this to about the 10-yard line. That play is good to put them in the red zone, so back-to-back first downs to get Cottey cooking here. A couple plays later, including a miscommunication, which was almost an interception by the Spires here, and an overthrow does bring up 4th down here. And so 4th down in the red zone. Amaya Karula forced out left. That was a good ball on the out route to Shamis Lee, who ties this game up at 6-6 here, and it stays tied as the extra point is intercepted by Jerica Johnson. And so here we go, St. Mary, they have the football, 9:27 left here. NAIA Hooks takes a deep shot to the corner, but thrown out of bounds. Following that, Hooks, I believe, tries to throw this one to Sable Barnes. But this one's actually almost intercepted as it is slightly thrown behind her, and almost intercepted by Shamis Lee and almost taken to the house, but just incomplete. That brings up 3rd down here. And on 3rd down, Hooks does throw the drag route, which is a little high. This does, I think, inadvertently cause a collision with Kenzie Murdoch, and they go ahead and call her for a penalty. It's probably PI, and so it's 3rd down again. And on 3rd down, they try to hand it off to Sable Barnes here. She gets maybe a yard, but is stopped by Joliet Johnson and a bunch of other Cottey players short here, but I saw Joliet Johnson leading the charge. And so that brings up 4th down here. And on 4th down, I couldn't tell what this was. I don't know if it was a pitch play or if it was maybe an option play. Regardless, it was stopped very much short for a loss here. Like I said, couldn't tell if it was a pitch or an option play. It was just stopped almost immediately. I think Kerryon Cloyd was leading that charge there. And so Cottey, they get the ball back. They actually take over in the red zone too because of that mishap. on offense for the University of St. Mary. And so here we go. Karula takes a shot to Jolia Johnson on the corner route, and she is open but just drops this one. Just a concentration drop, honestly. And so now it's second down here. Karula goes ahead, takes off, gets about 10 yards. That brings up third down, where Karula on the throw throws a dot to Daniela Goodrich, who also makes an excellent catch, getting both feet in bounds before sliding out of bounds here. And that gives Cottey a 12-6 lead here. Go ahead and make it 13-6 as Karula evades the pressure, steps up, and resets before delivering a great ball on the drag route to Seamus Lee, making it 13-2. Cottey with the lead after that extra point. Textbook play by Karula there. And so here we go. University of St. Mary, they get the ball back, trying to get something going, but unfortunately they do go 3 and out here. Safety Destiny Martinez had a really good breakup over the middle that would have given them a first down, and then Carry-On Cloyd would actually get some pressure on Hooks here, who had a wide open receiver down the middle, splitting the safeties on the post route, but just underthrew this one because she was throwing off her back foot. And so the Spires are forced to punt here, going 3 and out. And so Cottey, they get the ball with about 3 minutes, 8 seconds left here in the first half. They're on the edge of the red zone. They go ahead and put a Haberstock in at quarterback, Karula at running back. They hand it off to Karula. She looks to pass before just getting the first down, running for it, and getting them in the red zone with a fresh set of downs. A play later, it is second down here. Amaya Karula decides to go ahead and scramble for this one. Leans right here, just makes a defender miss, and then has a wide open lane to the end zone on a 10-yard touchdown run, making it 19-6. Extra point here is no good. Now St. Mary with a chance to hopefully get something before the half ends here. Go ahead and have this play. NAIA Hooks throws it to Trinity Scott. It's really just a check down, but Scott makes a couple players miss and then breaks free over the middle, and it's a foot race here. It looks like she's about to score, but Daniela Goodrich gets a huge diving flagpole that stops her short here. Still though, a huge play that goes for about 35 yards and also puts them past midfield. The Spires takes a timeout here to conserve some time here before getting back to it. But like I said, just a huge play that really was supposed to be stopped for maybe 3 yards. Ended up going for over 30. So there you go. But following the timeout, they go ahead and attempt a double pass here. Hooks throwing it to Ellie Campbell here, and she throws it deep here, but it's in double coverage. It's tipped up in the air, and Destiny Martinez comes up with a huge interception off this tipped pass. That kills all the momentum for the Spires, who were just maybe 5 or so yards away, 5 or 10 yards away from the red zone. And so that's a tough break here. There's about 58 seconds left. Cottey looking to get something going, but unfortunately basically go 3 and out, and they go ahead and punt it back to the Spires. They have like 18 seconds left in the half. Hooks does go deep, but once again, Destiny Martinez comes up big here with her second interception, and so that kills all of that. Cottey taking a pretty good, it feels like a commanding 19-6 lead going into the second half, but it's not that commanding, as the Spires, they just need to get on the board first, make it a 1-score game. And so that's what they attempt to do here as they do get the ball to start, and it starts out pretty well here. NAIA Hooks going ahead and scrambling for the first down. That goes for about 5 yards here, but couple incompletions in. Fortunately, it does bring up fourth down here, and the Spires once more have to punt it. Now, 9 minutes left in the third quarter. Cottey has the football. They go ahead and get the first down here. Karula finding Seamus Lee, who gets them the first down past midfield. Play later, it's second down here. Karula tries to make an ill-advised throw here over the middle, probably forcing it just a little bit here by Ellie Campbell. Gets a huge interception for the Spires here. go ahead and kill that drive before it eventually, becomes a 3-score lead there, and give the Spires the ball back with a chance to score. And it starts out pretty well here. NAIA Hooks goes over the middle to Jerica Johnson, kind of throwing across her body, but she goes ahead and gets a good 10 yards past midfield. Couple plays later, though, it is 4th down and 4 here on the edge of the red zone. Here's what happens. NAIA Hooks throws the corner route to Rebecca Ruck, or freshman tight end, but it looks like she gets tangled up here and falls down. They go ahead and throw a penalty on Cottey, either holding or PI, whichever. Regardless, it's still a 1st down in the red zone. And so here we go, the Spires in the red zone with something to cook with, hoping to make it a 1-score game. On 1st down, it's an incompletion on the check down. On 2nd down, Hooks is under pressure by Cloyd, is forced to throw the check down to Trinity Scott, but Kenzie Murdoch is there to go ahead and stop her from getting any more yards. That's maybe a 2 or 3 yard gain. That brings up 3rd down here. Hooks waits and goes for the corner route here, but it's just really good coverage by Daniela Goodridge here and is slightly out of reach. And so that brings up 4th down here. Crucial down for the University of St. Mary. And here's what happens. NAIA Hooks, I don't think she was under that much pressure, but she goes ahead and decides to scramble for this one and is obviously stopped short here. I mean, it's like 4th and 15, 4th and 17. Look, it doesn't matter how good of a quarterback you are. You kind of just got to loft one into the end zone. I think her clock, her anticipation clock just went off a little bit too soon here. And so that's just kind of a tough play to have if you are the Spires. Now, they do get a little bit of a break as Cottey does go 3 and out here. Just not quite able to get anything going. An incompletion on 2nd down really hurts them. And so the Spires do start with the ball just past midfield here. And that is where we pick up here in the 4th quarter. Still 19-6 here. If the University of St. Mary could get a touchdown, like I said, things could get cooking. And so here's what happens. NAIA Hooks goes over the middle and finds Trinity Scott on the drag route. She gets a nice gain of almost 15 yards. That brings up 2nd down, about 2nd and 5 here. Hooks throws it, but it goes off her receiver's hands and once again is almost picked by Shamise Lee. Luckily for them, it is dropped. And so here we go, 3rd down. Hooks finds Jerica Johnson on the drag, who makes a couple players miss and goes ahead and gets the Spires a huge 1st down. Also puts them in the red zone here once more. And so here we go, another good chance to potentially score here. NAIA Hooks throws the comeback route to Ellie Campbell, who gets them another 5 or so yards. That brings up 2nd down, where Hooks goes to Shannon Cooley, but she is pretty well covered by Joliet Johnson. That is incomplete here. Now it's 3rd down here. Hooks under pressure by Cloyd, kind of just forced to throw it away, throws it out the back of the end zone. That's a tough play to have here. And so that obviously burns it down. Now it's 4th down here. And on 4th down, Hooks throws a slant route to Shannon Cooley. This one is thrown slightly behind her here as she has to turn for it. But luckily for them, they go ahead and call a PI on the defender. And so that does move them up a little bit, half the distance of the goal line. And most importantly, though, repeats 4th down, giving them another chance. But once more, Hooks is under pressure and tries to get it to Jerica Johnson. But once again, it is behind her here. And so this play really doesn't have a chance. And so that is a tough turnover on downs. Now, Cottey, they have the football. If they score here, they basically put this one away. And Amaya Karula will get the party started, scrambling for the 1st down on this drive, the very 1st down on this drive. Following that, a couple plays in, it's 4th down and 5 here. Cottey decides to go for it here. They're just before midfield, about 5 yards before midfield here. And Amaya Karula eventually decides to take off towards the right sideline here. Makes a player miss who dives for a flag and gets another 1st down, this time past midfield. 2 plays later, it's 3rd down here, and Maya Karula throws the out route to NAIA Bolden, who makes a tough catch. The defender's all over her, and she kind of breaks a tackle here as well and goes ahead and gets a key 1st down, putting them in the red zone. This was huge because if the defender just pulled her flag here, she would have been maybe 3 yards short here, but Bolden goes ahead and makes a good play here and gets them a 1st down in the red zone with a chance to cook and put this thing away. Now, 1st down in the red zone. Maya Karula goes ahead, evades the pressure, resets, finds a wide open Jolia Johnson down the left sideline, and she brings it in for a touchdown, making it 25-6 with 4:45 left. Following that, Maya Karula squeezes another tough throw over the middle, making it 26-6. Just like that, this game is basically over here. The Spires would have one more chance to score, but they would not be able to, as Cottey goes ahead and beats the University of St. Mary 26-6 here. Player of the game, Maya Karula, she was on it this game. 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. Did have an interception, I believe, here. But, hey, a win's a win. This is a huge win for Cottey here. And, you know, the Spires, I mean, they had their chances. They were in the red zone like 2 times in the second half here. And they stalled out, and they wouldn't have even had to get the extra point on both attempts there. Even if they did score on both of those drives, that would have made it 18-19 just by scoring touchdowns, and obviously would have probably changed the situation in this game here. And so that's just kind of tough here, but it does show improvement from the Spires under their 1st-year head coach. Obviously, it helps to have Shannon Cooley and Jerica Johnson back. It's been a minute since those two have played on the field at the same time here, and so you know, they'll get better. You know, Anaya Hooks, I would still consider her a young quarterback. I mean, this is like her 2nd start, but that's definitely a quarterback that you can win with. You just got to figure out some things and, you know, just work on the little things, obviously. And so for the Spires, this game wasn't as lopsided as it probably looks like, just looking at the final score and maybe some of these stats here. But hey, it is what it is. Cottey, they played a great game here. Maya Karula played a really good game here. I saw they were showing some stats, I think, before the 4th quarter. And the Spires actually had more passing yards than Cottey. I think they had about 150 or so, about 20 or 30 more than Cottey. But the difference was that Cottey had like 50 plus rushing yards. And those are pretty much all on Maya Karula because they don't really have many like designed run plays. And it's just Karula scrambling most of the time, if not running some sort of read option or RPO. And so there you go there. That's how big of an impact she had on this game, just moving those chains and whatnot, giving the Spires some issues. And honestly, Maya Karula is probably one of the more elusive quarterbacks in college flag football right now here. She's just tough to take down in one-on-one. And so there you go. Plus, also, I'm going to throw this out there. So I believe this is the first time Cottey has ever beaten the Spires here before. This score has basically been flipped. The Spires beating Cottey by a lot, and so this is definitely a huge one for Cottey as they remain undefeated at home at 3-0. Alright, now let's go ahead and talk about the next game here. March 23rd, we have Keiser versus Warner. Battle of number 3 Keiser versus number 4 Warner. Warner going to West Palm here. Keiser, you know, they got a little bit of a break, a couple weeks off. Warner here coming off of a very busy week last week during the flag football frenzy, dropping a lot of teams by 40, 50 points. They did their thing and really flexed their depth here. But I did say going into this one, you know, Warner, they got to beat one of the top dogs here. And this is the first of 2 really tough matchups this week. They do play Thomas later, which we will talk about later. But first, let's go ahead and go into Keiser versus Warner here. Starting with Keiser, they get the ball first here. And, a couple plays in, it comes down to a 4th down situation. Look no further than Jasmine Roden. She goes ahead and scrambles left before pitching it forward to Sofia Caprio for the first down here. But following that, Jasmine Roden tries to take a shot down the right, and there's a little bit too much air on this one, and Mary Logan for Warner goes ahead and gets a pretty big interception and returns it past midfield for Warner. And so that's where they start here with about 9 minutes 46 seconds left, and this drive starts pretty rocky. They have 3 straight drops in a row, all from their starting wide receivers, all from different wide receivers, which is wild. And so it brings up a 4th down situation, but finally Tingen completes an out route pass to Trinity Kieran, who catches it. It wasn't on Tingen for them dropping it, by the way, but Kieran catches it and goes and gets the first down. That puts them in the red zone. Following that, Tingen hits Amiri Logan on a hitch. That gets about 2 or so yards. At this point, Kennedy Foster also comes out of the game, limps out of the game. So definitely some concern there as she plays both defense and offense and is a big contributor on both sides. But back to the game here, Tingen, following that play, dumps it off to Jenna Marrero, gets about 10 or so yards, a good gain here, setting up a solid 3rd down situation where Madison Tingen goes ahead and finds Trinity Kieran over the middle for a huge touchdown and the lead, taking a 6-0 lead. Extra point is no good here. Now 6 minutes 34 seconds left. I also want to mention Brenna Ramirez, the standout freshman, made her debut, I believe, this game, and so that's pretty big time. So that's a pretty big boost for Keiser in general. So just keep that in mind with Kennedy Foster currently out, at least at this point in the game. But Jasmine Roden goes ahead and finds Ramirez, who then pitches it to Caprio. That gets a nice gain of about 10 or so yards and a first down to get it started. Now after an incompletion on first down and second down here, on second down, Jasmine Roden checks down to Emma Wagman, who looks like she's about to get maybe a solid 10 or so yards, but then she goes ahead and splits a couple defenders, and then it's off to the races there. And she goes ahead and rips off a huge 50-yard touchdown to tie this game here. Roden would then go ahead on the extra point and throw the corner out to Marissa Rubino. Makes a great extension catch, by the way. All hands to take the 7-6 lead, just like that. Big splash play by Emma Wagenman, just making it happen here. Now 5:26 left here in the first quarter. Warner looking to get back this lead. They go ahead and start by Madison Tingen finding Trinity Kieran on the drag route. That gets them a huge gain of about 15 yards. Trinity Kieran being real productive to start here. Following that, Tingen rolls out left, resets, and throws across her body. Throws the post route here to Anna Vincenzini, the standout freshman from Panama, who gets the catch and gets them across the midfield for a first down on another big play here. So 2 first downs in a row. Following that, Tingen then finds Amiri Logan on the curl route. That goes for about 10 yards here. Second down, Tingen throws another curl route, this time to Anna Vincenzini. Put some heat on this as well, as the defender was all over this one, but Anna Vincenzini makes a great catch, a physical catch for the first down. That also puts them in the red zone as well, and I believe they threw a penalty on Keiser for, I want to say it had to have been some sort of personal foul or holding or whatever. And so that also tags on some yardage there. So they're in the red zone now. But at this point, Kennedy Foster does come back into the game. So just keep that in mind. And so first down, it's a pass breakup, just good defense here by Keiser. Second down, it's incomplete, just a little overthrown here. And then on third down here, Madison Tingen stands strong in the pocket and delivers a great throw here to Cynthia Holmes on the slant route to go ahead and retake the lead 12-7. Tingen was under pressure on that one, but found a way to still get it to Holmes here. And then on the extra point, Tingen finds Kieran in the back of the end zone. That makes it a 13-7 game here and lead for Warner. Now looking to respond back, there's about 1:49 seconds left. Still in the first quarter, a very explosive first quarter. Keiser, they get on offense and go to work here. Jasmine Roden finds Kennedy Foster over the middle, makes a couple people miss before lateraling it and getting a couple more yards. Regardless, that's a first down on that big gain to start this drive. A couple plays later here, second down, Jasmine Roden finds Chloe Griffin on the pass before she hands it off to Kennedy Foster, who gets a couple more yards, but they throw a holding penalty on Warner, and so that goes for a first down past midfield here. Now, just before the second quarter, Jasmine Roden finds Marissa Rubino in the flats, who tiptoes forward for a nice gain of about 10 yards. Now let's go into the second quarter here. It's 4th and 5 here. Keiser on the edge of the red zone looking to convert, and that's what they do. Roden throws the curl route to Sophia Caprio. She goes ahead and gets the first down, putting them in the red zone here. Now a couple plays in, it is 3rd and 5 after a big Kennedy Foster reception here that went for 10. And so here we go, 3rd and 5. Jasmine Roden rolls out left, pitches it to Caprio, who then walks it in for a touchdown. That ties the game at 13-13. But on the extra point, Roden finds Brenna Ramirez in the flat for the conversion. That gives Keiser the lead, 14-13. Alright, now it's back to Warner here, 9 minutes left in the second quarter. Tingen goes deep and finds Anna Vincenzini down the left sideline, who makes a physical catch on the 30-yard gain. They also add on what looks to be a personal foul as the safety kind of lays out Vincenzini here, and so that adds on a couple more yards, and that gives Warner a first down past midfield plus a little bit more here. Now, a play later, it's second down here. Tingen finds Holmes on the out route, who goes and gets them into the red zone just like that. But a couple plays later, it is 4th down. They got to score here. And so here's what happens. Madison Tingen tries to get it to Holmes here. It looks like on the out route, I want to say, but Kennedy Foster with the diving deflection makes it a turnover on downs. That is absolutely huge for Keiser, and so they go ahead and get the ball back here, and here's what happens. Play in at second down, Jasmine Roden goes down deep the right sideline here, down the right sideline, and Chloe Griffin makes an elite adjustment to the ball. She basically has to stop and go up and get it, and she makes an all-hands catch for a 30-yard or so gain for a first down there. So there you go. But following that, they go ahead and call a double pass here, and so it's Haley Young who has the ball, and she throws it to a wide open Kennedy Foster, who gets a gain of almost 20 yards when they finally corral her and bring her down. That is a first down pass midfield as Keiser is rolling right here. But a couple plays later, once again, it is 4th down and 13 after some tough plays. They're trying to get something going, so they go ahead and they let it run to the 2-minute warning, and then they run the play here, and that's when Jasmine Roden finds Brenna Ramirez here, but unfortunately she is ruled about 2 or 3 yards short, and so that is a turnover on downs. And so Warner gets the ball here to end the quarter, and here's what happens. They go ahead and on 3rd down, Madison Tingen throws the out route to Andrea Castillo, who gets them the first down past midfield. Following that, Tingen goes deep down the right sideline and finds Cynthia Holmes, who makes a nice over-the-shoulder catch. That puts them in the red zone. At this point, there's about 45 seconds left here. But let's go ahead and fast forward a couple plays here. Following a PI thrown on Keiser, Warner, they go ahead and replay 3rd down, and I think there's about 2 seconds left. And so regardless, there's not a lot of time here. And so 3rd down, or the second 3rd down here, Tingen lofts one to the back of the end zone, but a Keiser defender does dislodge the football here. That's a pass breakup, and it's supposed to be 4th down, but there is a penalty thrown on Keiser, so they do move up. They do move Warner up just a little bit and then replay it again. So once again, it's 3rd down. This time there's like 2 seconds left. This will probably be the last play of the half here, and so Tingen drops back, but she's sacked by Reagan Pellegrino, who goes ahead and closes this first explosive half here and maintains the lead for Keiser 14-13. That is a huge play for Keiser to go ahead and get that sack and not allow Warner to attempt possibly scoring and going up again. So there you go. But let's go ahead and pick up in the third quarter here. Warner starts with the football, and they go ahead and get a first down here. Tingen finds Andrea Castillo on the out route for that one. Following that, it's second down. Tingen, patient in the pocket, goes ahead and finds Holmes, who sits in between zones for a huge 15-plus yard gain for a first down across midfield. But following that, Tingen goes ahead and checks this one down to Jenna Moreau, who gets a pretty big gain of 10 or so yards. That's actually a first down, and that puts them in the red zone there, just like that. Now, a play later, it is second down here, and on second down, they go ahead and call a direct snap to Marrero, but they throw a penalty against Warner, so that pushes them back. It's a repeat of second down. And so once more on second down, Tingen throws it high here to a receiver, and it's incomplete, but they throw a PI on Keiser, so that moves Keiser or Warner back up here, and that's another repeat of second down. So they just got the penalty yardage back. And so there we go. Now a play out of Weber's book here. Tingen goes ahead and hands it off to Marrero on the end around, who then rifles one in to Cynthia Holmes to take the 19-14 lead. Like I said, took a page out of Weber's playbook there, as they've ran that all season long, which, hey, you gotta do what works. And Tingen on the extra point lofts it up high for Amiri Logan to go get it, and she does, making it 20-14. Once again, retaking the lead. Now Keiser, they have plenty of time to work with. About 7 minutes, 43 seconds left in the third quarter here. Roden throws it. It's tipped up in the air, but Kennedy Foster catches it before pitching it to Marissa Rubino, who gets a couple more yards. That goes for a first down for a gain of about 14. Following that, Rodham throws it to Caprio, who then pitches it to Wagaman. That's about a 6-yard gain there. Second down here, Rodham scrambles for 3. That brings up third here, where Rodham checks it down to Wagaman once more, who makes a move here. Doesn't drop a defender, but gets really close to it. Freezes her and goes ahead and gets that first down past midfield. A couple plays later, though, it's 3rd and 3 here. Roden throws this one to Rubino, but a couple Warner defenders force the breakup. That brings up 4th down here, a very important 4th down for Keiser, as they are on the edge of the red zone and need a score to at least tie this thing up. And so here we go, key 4th down here. Roden rolls out left here, tries to pitch it to Caprio. We've seen this play a million times this season, but the pass is just out of reach here. I don't think Caprio could have gotten her fingertips on it. It looked like it was maybe an inch or 2 off, which does matter. And so that's incomplete, and that's a turnover on downs here. And so here we go, Warner with a chance to go up by 2 scores against Keiser. Just keep this in mind, Keiser, they are, I believe, 6-0 or something like that against Warner. Either 6-0 or 5-0, something like that. All time, that is. And so here we go, 3 minutes left in the third quarter here. Second down, Tingen goes over the middle on the post route to Anna Vincentini, who makes a great catch here and gets some more for a first down past midfield on a 20-plus yard play. Following that, Tingen checks it down to Marrero, who then pitches it to Holmes, who gets them a gain of about 8. That brings up second down here, and Tingen tries to go deep to Amiri Logan, who had a step, but this one's overthrown. That brings up 3rd here as the clock is winding down. Tingen fires it to Trinity Kieran on the drag, but she is stopped short. That brings up 4th and 1 to start the 4th quarter here. And so 4th and 1, they're on the edge of the red zone. They have a chance to go ahead and put the nail in the coffin here if they convert here and if they get a score. And so here we go. Madison Tingen on 4th down goes ahead and drops back, but she is under pressure by Reagan Pellegrino and makes a very tough decision here. Decides to loft one deep to Anna Vincentini, but this one is overthrown, and that's a turnover on downs there, and that's just a very tough decision to make. It's 4th and 1, and so really you just had to check it down here like you usually have done. And Marrero, I mean, she's been having a day. And so if you get it to her, she's probably going to make the catch and extend the drive. Instead, it kind of looks like she panicked a little bit and just tried to loft one deep so that Vincenzini could run underneath it, but it's just too far. And so just a very tough decision here, but definitely a turning point here for Keiser as they get the ball back with 11:50 seconds left here and a chance to go ahead and tie this game. And so here's how it goes down. A couple plays in, it is 3rd and 1. Roden under pressure checks it down to Emma Wagman, who gets them a first down and more, about 6 yards on this gain past midfield. So there you go. Following that, Roden on the run finds Brenna Ramirez, who tiptoes down the sideline for a big gain of about 14. That brings up 2nd and 1 here. On 2nd down, that's when they go ahead and attempt a double pass here. Throw it to Haley Young, who finds a wide open Brenna Ramirez on the dig route, who almost spins into the end zone here. Almost a big time touchdown, but she is just marked down on the 1 basically. Regardless, huge play here. First down in the red zone here. And so on first down, Roden throws it to the back of the end zone to Brenna Ramirez. But this is just a tough throw and catch to make here. It's slightly overthrown and late, and so that's incomplete. That brings up 2nd down here, and on 2nd down, Roden feels the heat from 2 defenders, but puts a move on him and freezes them real quick, and then goes ahead and takes off to the end zone for the touchdown and ties the game at 20-20. Sensational by Jasmine Roden there. I mean, they had her dead to rights right there, those 2 defenders, but just such a great move by Roden, and you know she's a great athlete. She's going to go ahead and finish that one and walk it in. But to add on to that, on the extra point, Jasmine Roden throws a laser to Chloe Griffin. Just a great throw, a layered throw here between defenders to go ahead and take that 21-20 lead. So not only do they tie it, but they go ahead and take that lead. And so here we go. Warner, they're not out of it. Only down by 1, 7 minutes left. Plenty of time here. And so here's what happens. Tingen takes a shot deep to Amiri Logan, but this one's well covered. Most importantly, though, it is overthrown, so there's no chance for the defenders to make a play on it. That brings up 2nd down here. Tingen checks down to Jenna Marrero, who goes and gets the first down just like that to keep them going here. Following that, though, Tingen rolls out right, but once more is sacked by Reagan Pellegrino, her 2nd sack of the game. That's a big one here. And that brings up a 2nd and long here. Once more, Tingen feels the pressure from Pellegrino and tries to throw it, but it is tipped up and almost intercepted here. That brings up 3rd down here. And on 3rd down, Tingen throws the post route to Andrea Castillo, but they call a hold on Keiser. It's a tough, they shouldn't have done that because there are 3 defenders there and they just didn't let go of her jersey. So that's an easy call there. And so what would have been a 4th down there because they would have stopped her a couple yards short actually ends up being a 1st down for Warner. And that gets them across the midfield there. So here we go. Warner is rolling. And so couple plays in, though, it is 4th and 2, though, still manageable. And so here's what happened. Tingen tries to go over the middle to Andrea Castillo, but this one is broken up by Adriana Cavallati. This is a key pass breakup here, and that actually brings up a turnover on downs. And so 3 minutes 18 seconds left. Keiser looking to hammer in the nail here and really secure this one as they only have a 1-point lead, and Warner has all of their timeouts, I believe. And so here's what happens. They go ahead and run a couple plays until the 2-minute warning. Following the 2-minute warning, it is 3rd and 5 here. They go ahead and call a double pass to Haley Young, and she goes ahead and finds Kennedy Foster, who makes a tough sideline catch that gives Keiser the first down past midfield. At this point, there's about 1:54 left here. Following that, Roden finds Adrian Rodriguez over the middle, gets a huge gain here. That brings up 2nd and 3 here, where Roden passes it to Haley Young, who goes and gets the first down. That puts Keiser in the red zone with about a minute left here. Now, at this point, I don't believe Warner has called any timeouts left. They might be calling one here up soon. But anyways, let's just go ahead and keep talking about this game. Roden throws it to Young, who then gives it back to Roden, who goes ahead and gets to the 10-yard line. At that point, Warner does call their first timeout with about 47 seconds left. 2nd down, Roden passes it to Haley Young, who passes it back to Roden, who then tries to loft one to a wide open Kennedy Foster, but it's just too high and incomplete. And so that's kind of a missed opportunity. 37 seconds left, clock is stopped, it's 3rd down here, but it doesn't matter here. Jasmine Roden throws it to Haley Young, who looks before walking it into the end zone for the touchdown, seemingly to be the dagger as they take a 27-20 lead with 29 seconds left. To go ahead and add on to that on the extra point, Roden throws it to the back of the end zone to Adrian Rodriguez, who lays out for this one and makes it a 28-20 game. But there is still 29 seconds left. It's still technically a 1-score game. They just have to go for 2, and Warner has 2 timeouts here. And so here we go. Warner goes to work here. Tingen throws the drag route to Trinity Kieran, gets them a first down to start. Following that, Tingen lofts one over the middle to Anna Vincenzini. She gets a huge catch for about 17 yards there. They call a timeout immediately. That's about 12 seconds left here in the game, and they're near midfield as well. Following the timeout here, Tingen down the right sideline finds Cynthia Holmes for a huge 20-yard gain past the midfield and a new set of downs. And so following that, Warner calls their last timeout at 6 seconds left. So 6 seconds left. They got to put one in the end zone here. Tingen drops back, throws it deep, finds Anna Vincenzini wide open here, who makes it a 26-28 game, scores on a huge 30-ish yard touchdown pass here. And so here we go, Warner with a chance to go ahead and tie this game and force overtime here with about a second left. It doesn't matter if they don't get this extra point attempt here. Here's what happened. They go ahead and drop back, and Tingen throws it up here to Anna Vincenzini. It looks like on the post route, it is one-on-one here, but it is broken up by Sydney Woodman as Keiser holds on here. Just an excellent one-on-one play. It was a great ball by Tingen. Anna Vincenzini ran a solid route, but Woodman here just had excellent leverage and breaks this one up and delivers Keiser the win here as they defeat Warner and survive 28-26 in an instant classic here. Oh my goodness, just plenty of opportunities for both teams to win it. I mean, if we go back to the start of the 4th quarter, that botched 4th down situation, I mean, you got to know to check it down there. And if you don't have a check down built in, then that's on the coaching staff as well, because it is 4th and 1. And so that's obviously tough. And then you also have, I mean, you know, you could also go to the end here. If Keiser never scored that touchdown, you know, say Warner got a stop there, then Warner would have thrown the game winner at the end, assuming everything went the same, right? So much could have went differently, but it went down like this, and it resulted in a Keiser win here. Let's go ahead and talk about some stats here. Player of the game, I think absolutely has to be Jasmine Roden. 22 of 37, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did throw that 1 interception, but on the ground, she had that key rushing touchdown there. She had about, I believe, she only had a yard rushing here on 3 attempts, but had that 1 rushing touchdown, which, oh my God, she had to put a move on those 2 defenders. That was a game changer there. And then I think she would have had 3 passing touchdowns, but they went ahead and accredited that to Haley Young as a rushing touchdown, which makes sense. I mean, they were behind the line of scrimmage. I think she threw it backwards as well. So There you go there. So technically she helped account for all 4 of the touchdowns that happened in this game, but also, got all those extra points as well, which ended up being key in a 2-point game here. So there you go. Jasmine Roden is your player of the game here. Talking about some more stats here, receiving wise, Kennedy Foster, 9 receptions. She went to work here, 103 yards, no touchdowns, but like I said, led the team with 9 receptions and 103 yards. Right behind her, Emma Wagaman, 5 receptions, 77 yards. Had that huge 50-yard play touchdown that helped them out a lot. But behind her is Brenna Ramirez in her debut, 5 receptions, 67 yards here, going to work, looking to be a big part of this offense here. And of course, you have Sophia Caprio and Chloe Griffin, who had quieter games, along with Marissa Rubino, who had quieter games here, but always a threat to go to work. And then let's talk about defense here. Lizandra Moore made a lot of stops here. Stopped a lot of plays from getting out of hands. I feel like she got Jen Marrero's flag a lot, because there were times where they would check it down to her, and Marrero was cooking this game. And so 10 tackles for Lizandra Moore. That was huge there. Just looking at a couple more stats here. Reagan Pellegrino led the team with 2 sacks. Almost thought about making her player of the game, because she forced some real tough situations here for Warner on offense. And they were pretty big. They were pretty big, but obviously without the scores here, Keiser would not have won. So there you go. But definitely a lot of credit to Reagan Pellegrino with those 2 sacks. Now let's go ahead and talk about Warner. Look at their stats here. Madison Tingen, 50 pass attempts here, 35 of 50 for 384 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. Jenna Marrero also had a passing touchdown, it looks like here. That's what they credited her with. Now looking at the receivers here, Anna Vincenzini led with 6 receptions, 112 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. Cynthia Holmes is there though as well with 8 receptions, 94 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Jenna Marrero, 8 receptions, 65 yards. Trinity Kieran, 7 receptions, 57 yards, and a touchdown. They were going to work this game. Defensively, Holmes led them with 8 tackles. That was pretty big there. So there you go. Oh, and then Amiri Logan with the 1 interception and 2 tackles. But regardless, a great game here. Warner, they were right there. They just couldn't get it done this time around. Definitely can or have shown that they can hang with Keiser though. And so we'll see what happens. They go ahead and they'll be playing Thomas on Saturday. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking on Thomas, let's go ahead and talk about them. They would actually play on Friday. That's March 24th, 2023 here against Weber at Weber here. Part of a little Florida road trip. They do play back-to-back. This is the front end for them. They, just like Weber, are coming off a very successful weekend in Kentucky here, and they are getting back a key player here in Kiana Okol, and so that's pretty big time for them. Weber, on the other hand, they're looking to potentially get an upset here, so let's go ahead and jump into this one. To start, Weber will get the football here, and they would go ahead and get a first down, attempting a double pass, actually. Sierra Zeno, their backup, would actually get the snap, then throw it to Sam Wilson. She didn't see anybody deep, so she just took off and got the first down. A couple plays later, though, it's 3rd and 4 here, and here's what happens. Sam Wilson, under pressure, goes ahead and checks it down to Emma Blanco. That doesn't go for much, goes for maybe a yard. Janae Scott is there, and so that brings up 4th and 3 here. And Weber, they're going aggressive, they're going for it, even though they are in their own territory right now. And so here's what happens. Wilson goes ahead and checks it down to Jasmine Henry, but it looks like Thomas stops her short before she could get the first down, and so that's a turnover on downs. It did look pretty close, but the refs, they went ahead and made that call there, which was pretty tough to do. And so here we go, Thomas starting past midfield here with about 9 minutes 34 seconds left in the first quarter. Let's go ahead and fast forward a couple plays into 4th and 2 here after a nice little hitch throw to Nakara Brown from Alexa Wilson. It's 4th and 2. They're on the edge of the red zone. Here's what happens. Alexa Wilson, the freshman quarterback for Thomas, goes ahead and finds the veteran Brittany Devil on the left side on a quick hitter. That goes for a first down, putting them in the red zone with a chance to take an early lead. But on the following play here, the next play right after that first down, Wilson tries to, it looks like goes back to the quick hitter or a hitch or whatever here, but Emma Balaco actually reads this one really well and goes ahead and grabs this interception for Weber, and I believe that is actually her first career interception. And so shout out to her, you know, PMC fam for life, you know how it goes. And so just like that, Weber, they go ahead with the ball following this key turnover in the red zone with about 6 minutes 50 seconds left. Here is how that goes down. Let's go ahead and fast forward to about 3rd down here, and here's what happens. It's about 3rd and inches. Wilson goes ahead and takes a deep shot here to Breasia Robinson, but it is overthrown. It is a windy day, and so I think the throw just kind of got away from her a little bit, and so that brings up 4th and inches here. And on 4th down, Sam Wilson forced out the pocket, checks it down to Emma Balaco, who makes a tough catch here for about 10 yards and a first down past midfield. Now, a couple more checkdowns here to Emma Balaco would eventually bring up a 4th down and 4 here. Look, Thomas, they just have unrelenting pressure on Sam Wilson, and she's forced to keep checking it down. And so that's how we get into this 4th and 4 situation. And on 4th and 4, they go ahead and put in Jasmine Henry in, and they do a direct snap to her, and she tries to go and reach for that left side here, running outside left, and Janae Scott is there to not only stop her, but actually stop her for a loss here, as that is a turnover on downs. I think Weber here really believed that they could get the edge there, get outside, as they usually have with Jasmine Henry, but not this time against a very tough defense led by Janae Scott. And so once again, that is a turnover on downs. And so Thomas, they have the ball. There's about a minute left here in this first quarter, and so here's what happens. Wilson goes ahead, checks it down to Keanu Cole. She gets them about 2 yards. Following that, Alexa Wilson finds Margarita Pena on a quick little throw that gets them about 5. That brings up 3rd down, the last play of this quarter here. Wilson tries to go over the middle here, but Breasia Robinson gets a huge interception, and so that's obviously a turnover on downs. Weber getting their 2nd pick, not only of the game but of the quarter here. Still 0-0 going into the 2nd quarter. Now, in the 2nd quarter, Weber starts past the midfield. Let's go ahead and fast forward to 4th down here. On 3rd down, Wilson was forced to check it down to Blanco, who got them 10 yards. But now it's 4th down. They're trying to convert here. Weber really struggling with some of this pressure, really just having time for short throws and checkdowns. And so here's what happens. On 4th down, Sam Wilson drops back, but once again is forced to check down to Emma Blanco, who does get past Janae Scott, makes her miss, but is stopped short of the first down once more. That's tough. You know, it looked like for a second she might break this one free, but a couple of Thomas defenders do get there and help stop her. And so once again, that is a turnover on downs, and that's the 2nd time Weber can't capitalize on a turnover here. And so here we go. Thomas still feeling good. It's 0-0 here. You know, they feel comfortable right here. And here's what happens on 2nd down. Wilson goes deep down the right side, and Kara Brown brings in a beautiful over-the-shoulder pass here. Makes an over-the-shoulder catch, for about 30-plus yards to put them past midfield on the first down. That really jump-started this drive. A couple plays later, it's second down. Wilson forced out left and pitches it to Keanu Cole, who then goes ahead and gets the first down. That puts them in the red zone here for the second time today. The first time resulted in an interception, but this time around it's on second down, second and 4 to be specific. They go ahead and put in Keanu Cole, and you know how it goes. That's their short yardage squad out there, led by Keanu Cole and Janae Scott. And Keanu Cole just goes ahead and rushes this one in on what looks like to be an option play, but she goes ahead and beats all the Weber defenders to the end zone here. Emma Blanco actually almost pulls her flag diving for it, but a Cole on the bend is just too fast and too elusive, and so that gives them the 6-0 lead. Now, the extra point is no good, and so they have to settle for that for now. Now, Weber, they do get the ball. They're trying to get something going. Most importantly, they're trying to get a score here. They've gotten a couple first downs, but they're really looking for a score here. Unfortunately, though, it does come down to a 4th and 1 here after some really short plays. They haven't gotten a first down yet, and so on 4th and 1, they're going for it, which is it's a little risky. It's really risky because if they don't get it, then Thomas is automatically in the red zone. That's how deep in their own territory they are right now. But it's 4th and 1. Here's what happens. Sam Wilson goes out left before coming back around right and has to throw it. But unfortunately, this throw does go out of bounds. So once more, that's a turnover on downs, and this would be a pretty costly one as Thomas goes ahead and starts in the red zone, 4 downs to get a touchdown, and they do use all 4 downs as it does come to a 4th down play. And here's what happens. 4th down, Alexa Wilson under pressure goes ahead and stands tall and delivers a dot to Kiera Knight, who runs a great route, just putting her foot in the ground and snapping that thing off there, losing the defender and getting the touchdown to go up 12-0. Now on the extra point, they go ahead and put in Cole and Scott. You know how it goes, and they run that option here, and Cole once more goes ahead and gets into the end zone, outruns Jada Dillard on this one, which is really tough, and goes ahead and leans in there into the end zone, making it 13-0 here. Now, about 2 minutes left. Weber, they got to get on the board, but unfortunately, they just have a couple really tough plays, including a drop on first down. There was a short throw that they tried to pitch after making the catch. That was too low. That ended up, I think that lost them maybe a yard or two. So that does bring up 3rd down. And on 3rd down, they do try a direct snap to Jasmine Henry, but her flag is pulled immediately by both linebackers of Thomas. And so that brings up 4th and 1 here. Once more, Weber, they decide to go for it here. I mean, you got to get aggressive against a team like Thomas. You know, this is pretty manageable, I guess. It is 4th and 1 here. But once more, Wilson tries to throw the post to Brazier Robinson. This one is too high and incomplete. And so once more, it's a turnover on downs. And for the second time today, Thomas starts in the red zone with 1 minute and 7 seconds left in this quarter. Obviously, plenty of time. And this time, they don't use all 4 downs. It does come down to a 3rd and 3, though. And on 3rd and 3, Wilson runs out right and throws a dot towards the front right pylon to Kiera Knight, who toe taps this one in. This is just a beautiful catch by her, honestly. Great play. And she gets a huge touchdown to give Thomas a commanding 19-0 lead. Cole would go ahead and go back in and run in another extra point, I believe, for 2nd, I want to say, of the day. Yeah, so her 2nd of the day. She did get a touchdown earlier, so there was that. And she makes it 20-0. And that is the score going into halftime here. Weber obviously very frustrated with how this game is going here, but they're just not getting a lot of time here. You know, they just don't have enough time for some of their deeper routes to develop. And I'm talking medium to deep routes here. But mostly those medium routes, they're really, the only thing that's working are those checkdowns. And even then, those could be hit or miss, and they found themselves in a couple of situations, multiple situations where it's 4th and 1, and they just couldn't get that one. And that's killed them throughout this game. And plus, there's probably a couple of times where they should have punted it. They did not punt at all in this first half, and, they're down 20-0. But let's go ahead and hop into the third quarter here. It's not out of reach yet. They got to get a stop here because Thomas does get the ball to start. But then they got to score after that. But first, let's start with a potential stop here. Thomas with the ball. They go ahead and get a first down. Wilson finding Margarita Pena for the first down of this first down of this drive to get them going here. Couple plays later here, Wilson finds a hole in this Weber defense and finds LaCare Brown, who makes a great catch and gets a solid gain for about 30 yards past midfield. Following that, Wilson throws the hitch route to Brittany Delva, who gets them back into the red zone once more. Now let's go ahead and get to third down here. A couple plays in. This is following a huge Jada Dillard sack here. It's third down in a bit here. Alexa Wilson goes ahead and finds Giselle Jones, who puts a move on a defender and then goes ahead and spins out of another couple defenders' grasp before reaching out for the end zone, laying out and getting into the end zone for the touchdown, making it a 26-0 lead. Just an excellent individual play here by Giselle Jones, making multiple defenders miss here. Not the greatest flag pulling by Weber, but also it's not that easy to pull Giselle Jones' flags here. So there you go. Now, the extra point's no good, but this game is basically over here. Just to recap a couple other things that happened. Sam Wilson in the fourth quarter would loft up a nice touchdown to Kayla Burrows to the right corner. That would make it 26-6. But following that, Alexa Wilson would find the freshman Aaliyah Wood twice, one on a huge chunk play, and the second time one for a touchdown, making it 32-6. Following that on the extra point, Wilson then find Nezia Turner, making it 33-6, and that would be the final score there. Thomas defeats Weber 33-6 here. Just a dominant game here. I think player of the game for me has to be Kiara Knight. She had those two big touchdowns that really extended that lead originally for Thomas, and that was big time. Both of them just really good plays. The first one a great route, the second one just a great play, catching the football and getting her toes in bounds. But let's talk some stats now that we have it here. So let's go with Thomas first. Alexa Wilson, 28 of 36. Started a little rocky with those two interceptions, but did end up throwing for 4 touchdowns and 273 yards, I believe, following those 2 picks, which is absolutely insane. Really picked it up quickly here after having a rough start, but that is the benefits of trusting your defense and having the best defense in the country. Now, as far as rushing touchdowns go, Kiana Cole had the 1, so there you go. Receiving wise, Nakara Brown led with 5 receptions, 77 yards. Giselle Jones had 6 receptions. That led the team with 47 yards. Also had a touchdown. Kiara Knight, 4 receptions, 29 yards, and those 2 touchdowns, like I said. Now on defense, a lot of flag pulls here. Janae Scott with 7. Brittany Delvin, Giselle Jones each had 6. Jada Reese had 4, plus only 1 sack this game, but it felt like she was in Weber's face all day long. And just looking at the stats here, Weber's stats aren't even that bad. Sam Wilson here going 23 of 33, 141 yards and a touchdown. No picks, no turnovers. Just some missed opportunities, more like. Wilson also led with 27 rushing yards. Kayla Burrows had 4 receptions, 48 yards and a touchdown, led the team in receiving yards. Emma Blanco was right behind her, led the team with 6 receptions, but had 35 receiving yards. And then after that, Raja Robinson, 4 for 21, and Bria Cam, 3 for 12 here. Some struggles here. Caitlin Sigmundy, no receptions in this one. And then on defense, Kayla Burrows, 10 tackles. Jada Dillard had 2 sacks. Emma Blanco and Raja Robinson each had a pick. I mean, just looking at the stats alone, you could probably guess that this game wasn't as much of a blowout as it was, but it was just tough. For Weber, Thomas, I mean, they had their number this game, and they've been on fire. This defense has been absolutely great in their first 9 games here. And, just to throw out a stat, they do play Warner, I believe, tomorrow at the time I'm recording this, and we'll recap that in this episode. But anyways, in their first 9 games, they've only allowed about 4 points a game. Only one team has scored more than 1 touchdown on them, and that was St. Thomas at the beginning when they scored 18. Other than that, they've had multiple shutouts against teams like Keiser, Florida Memorial, Campbellsville, Reinhardt, and Florida Gateway here. Weber narrowly avoided a shutout, scoring that 1 touchdown. But other than that, I mean, nobody has scored more than 1 touchdown on them since that St. Thomas game, at least up to now. And so this Thomas defense is red hot, and this offense, I mean, getting Kiana Cole was a big boost. She got them a whole ton of extra points. And then Alexa Wilson, I mean, she has really come along here and has proved to be a great starting quarterback for them, and definitely one of the best in the entire country. And so we'll see. Thomas, they're rolling. Weber, I mean, honestly, I don't even know what more they could have done better. Maybe convert more on those 4th and 1s, or, don't put yourself in those situations to convert 4th and 1s, just punt it. But you got to be aggressive when it comes against Thomas, especially, I don't blame you for going for it on 4th down and 1 here, or 4th and short. I think the other one was a 4th and 4 play, but you got to get those, right? And they probably could have done a better job battling against that Thomas pressure here. I mean, Jada Reese, she's going to do a lot of work and damage herself. So you got to deal with her. You got to put her in more conflict than you did this game. That's really the only thing. But even then, you have these great DBs and linebackers that you got to deal with. There's no guarantee that you beat him, even if you can beat Jada Reese. But, hey, it is what it is. They're going to move on, and they're going to have to learn from it. That's how Thomas plays. All right, now let's go ahead and move on to the Saturday slate of games here on March 25th. Let's actually start in Georgia for this Reinhardt versus Campbellsville game. The last matchup was a thrilling one in Kentucky, where Reinhardt actually got their first win in program history versus Campbellsville. Campbellsville, they wouldn't win that one, but they would eventually get a win last week, though. And so let's go ahead and hop into this game here. So Campbellsville, they do get the ball to start, and they get a first down. A nice scramble by Kalaya Wimbush, their starting quarterback, would go ahead and give them that first down. But let's go ahead and go a play later here on 2nd down. There's a big sack by Emma Walker of Campbellsville that forces a 3rd down. After that, Wimbush throws the ball here, and it's short. Part of it is because of how far this sack costed them, and so that's a 4th down and a punt. In Campbellsville, they go ahead and get the ball back here. Or, well, they got the ball for the first time to start in this game. And so it starts out with a nice return on the punt by Yaneli Quiros, who gets them past midfield initially, but an illegal forward pass penalty does move them back behind midfield. And so that's where they start here. A couple plays in, it is a 4th and 4 situation. Here's what happens. Campbellsville runs outright. A player is handed off the ball. I can't tell if it's Quiros or Presley Payne here, but regardless, they go ahead and kind of put their shoulder down and go ahead and get that first down across midfield here. That is pretty big. Couple plays in, it's 3rd down here. Marissa Rankin in at quarterback pitches it to Yaneli Quiros, who goes and gets the first down this time. That puts them in the red zone here. Following that, there's a speed option where Rankin once again pitches it to Quiros. She gets about 4 yards, and that brings up 2nd down. And then on 2nd down here, they go ahead and call a pass play. Marissa Rankin rolling out right to throw this one, but Deshae Branham with a one-handed interception, it looks like. She goes ahead and puts a move on a would-be defender here, gets to around midfield, weaves in and out, kind of losing the defender slash, I guess it's an offensive player for Campbellsville, and then goes ahead and turns on the Jets and brings it to the house. That goes down as an 80-yard pick six and a 6-0 lead here. Extra point is no good, but Reinhardt regardless gets on the board to start. Now, following that, there's not too much more that happens until the second quarter. And so let's go ahead and go into the second quarter here. In the second, Campbellsville, they have the ball here. A nice little Marissa Rankin, a throw to Yaneli Quiros on the out route, goes for about 10 yards. That actually put Campbellsville in the red zone. A couple plays later, it is fourth down here, and so they are obviously going for it, and they call a pass play. Rankin drops back, but it's Carson Paget with a huge sack to go ahead and kill this drive, not giving her any time at all, and so that's a turnover on downs. Now, Kalaya Wimbush, she goes ahead and gets the ball here, kind of backed up into her own end zone, and it's not the greatest play. Later on second down, Wimbush is forced to throw it to Deshae Branham, but she kind of runs backwards here. She's trying to make something happen here in open space, beat the defender to the outside, doesn't quite get there, and because she lost some yardage, when she gets her flag pulled, it's in the end zone, and so that's actually a safety for Campbellsville. That's 2 points, still losing 6-2 here, but they also get the ball back, and so they get the ball back, and on the first play of this drive, Caroline Small gets a huge interception and a huge return. She kind of just jumps this little short out route here and goes ahead and sets up sets up Reinhardt in the red zone. A couple plays later, it's 3rd and 5 though. Kalaya Wimbush, she drops back looking for a receiver, but she gets sacked by Hannah Love. That brings up 4th down here. Obviously, they're going it, and on 4th down, Wimbush rolls out right and throws it to Nina Johnson, but it is dropped. A very uncharacteristic drop here, and so that's actually a turnover on downs. And so Campbellsville, they get the ball. Let's go ahead and go to 2nd down here. Rankin tries to pitch this ball here. It looks like it's an option or something like that, but it is picked off and returned to the house by Caroline Small, her 2nd interception of the day. Once again, the extra point is no good here, but Reinhardt is up. An interesting score, 12-2 here in the second quarter. Now, Campbellsville, they would get the ball back, and they would actually drive into the red zone here, but it would eventually come down to a 4th down play. This would follow a huge sack here. I want to say it's Carson Paget who got that sack for Reinhardt, and so they are forced to spike it on 3rd. That does bring up the 4th down here, and they go ahead and try to throw the slant route, but it's a huge pass breakup. That's a turnover on downs, and that's how the first half ends there. Reinhardt up 12-2. All defensive touchdowns, all defensive scores in this game so far. So there you go. Now, first play here in the third quarter, Campbellsville, they have the ball. Marissa Rankin's running around. She tries to pitch it forward, but it is intercepted and returned to the house here by Adriana Brustmeyer. That makes it 18-2. An interesting score here as they take a pretty dominant lead. Now Campbellsville, they try to come back and get something going, but Carson Paget goes crazy here. First off, stopping the run at the line for no gain. On second down, it's a incomplete pass on a deep shot. She had a wide open receiver, but she misses it. Rankin, that is. And then on third down, Carson Paget gets another huge stop here on Rankin. That forces Campbellsville to go 3 and out, and that's basically the end to this game. I mean, later on in the game, Reinhardt would get it felt like more of a garbage time touchdown. They scored around the 4 or 5 minute point in the fourth quarter, but they didn't get the extra point, so it stayed at 18-8. Alexis Thomas would pick off the ball again, but even then they couldn't score off of that. And so there you go. That's your final score. Reinhardt beats Campbellsville 18-8. Pretty much all defensive scores except for that late Campbellsville touchdown here. But Reinhardt once again just playing a really good game defensively. Offensively, definitely had their share of struggles, a lot of dropped passes I felt like, and just missed opportunities. But defensively, they made up for it with all of those scores here. Player of the game absolutely has to be Caroline Small. She had 2 interceptions, including that pick 6. And so that was big time. But in general, this Reinhardt defense played well. If I could give player of the game to multiple people, it would be that entire defense. Carson Paget, definitely somebody who played extremely well once more in this game. So there you go. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about the Thomas versus Warner game. Number 2 Thomas facing off with number 4 Warner here. Thomas had a really good game against Weber just a day ago, so there you go there. Warner had a tough go against Keiser, definitely a winnable game, but they look to try to upset Thomas here. And so let's go ahead and hop into this game. I'm going to just go ahead and say the stream, I think, started late, and on top of that, no one was moving the camera. It was just stuck on midfield for like at least a drive. I want to say at least the first drive. And so all I could say is that Thomas, they got the ball, they drove down the field. Alexa Wilson went ahead and scored a touchdown for them. It looks like, I want to say she found Brittany Delva on a slant, making it 6-0, but the extra point was no good. And so that's how that started there. Warner, they will get the ball with a chance to potentially go ahead and match them. And they get it started with Madison Tingen finding Andrea Castillo for the first down on the curl route here. Tingen then, following that, goes back to Castillo, this time on the post route for a first down past midfield. Now, following that, Tingen would then check it down to Marrero. She was under pressure by Jada Reese. Marrero maybe gets a yard. And so here we go. It's second down here. Tingen checks it down to Marrero once more, who gets about 10. Pressure really heating up here. And then on third down, Tingen, she tries to throw the post to Andrea Castillo, but it kind of gets knocked out of her hands, pops up in the air, and is intercepted by Janae Scott. And so Janae Scott gives Thomas the ball back, killing that Warner drive. Good hands by her. And so on this drive here, Alexa Wilson at quarterback checks down to Keanu Cole, who gets about 5 yards here. Second down once more, Wilson goes back to Cole, who gets them about 6. That brings up third down here. And on third down, Alexa Wilson finds Brittany Delva on the curl route, who gets them a first down past midfield. And that's where Thomas would start here in the second quarter. Now let's go ahead and go to third down here in the second quarter. Alexa Wilson goes down the right sideline and finds Brittany Delva, who makes an excellent high point catch for a huge play, putting them in the red zone. Just a good throw by Wilson, finding a weak spot in this zone here, and Delva just going up and making a play and getting this football. So there you go. Now let's go ahead and go a couple plays in here. It is third down, and on third down and about 2, Wilson rolls out right before finding Brittany Delva on the short touchdown here, making it 12-0. Now on the extra point, I believe they go for 2 here, or they actually got the extra point on the first drive. Like I said, the first drive, not exactly the best by the stream, but it's okay. It improved from there. But on this extra point attempt, Wilson goes ahead and runs it in. She makes it a 14-0 lead here, just like that. Now, Warner looking to get back in this. You know, these double-digit, triple score leads held by Thomas, they're hard to go ahead and beat them. There can't be many teams that have been down by 2 scores and beat Thomas. So I'm just going to throw that out there, at least in their history. And so they're trying to get back into it here. And so to get things started, they go ahead and get a nice first down. Madison Tingen finding Cynthia Holmes on the out route would go ahead and give them that first down Following that, Madison Tingen tries to go over the middle here, but Janae Scott is there, and she goes ahead and grabs her second interception of the game. I mean, look, it's tough. There's pressure in your face, and you can't really go outside because of how good these corners are, but also if you try to go over the middle, you got players like Janae Scott who are great and are all Playmaker, all national players, and they're going to do really well and thrive in those situations, and that's what she did there, kind of baiting this one. And so here we go, Alexa Wilson with a chance to go ahead and put Thomas up by 3 scores, goes ahead and finds Kiana Cole, who slips a couple tackles and goes and gets the first down in the red zone. A big play by Kiana Cole, getting about 10 to 15 yards here. Following that, Wilson checks down to Cole once more. She gets a short gain. Second down here, Wilson with another check down to Cole, gets about 3. And so that brings up third down here. And on third down, Wilson under pressure finds Margarita Pena, who gets maybe a yard here. So some very minimal gains here for Thomas. And that brings up fourth down here. And on fourth down, Wilson rolls out left and finds Giselle Jones near the left sideline here for the touchdown. Just a great throw by Wilson here. By the way, throwing while rolling out left, that's really tough to do, but she does it and makes it a 20-0 lead. Extra point is also good. Pena on the catch, that makes it 21-0 as this thing becomes just a bit out of hand here. Now, Warner, they would get a promising drive here, finding Anna Vincenzini on a couple of throws. Tingen finding her, that is, would get them 2 first downs. They would actually eventually get into the red zone here. Tingen finding Holmes on the out route would do that, but eventually it would come down to a fourth down here. Last play of this half, and guess who? It's Jada Reese, who goes ahead and sacks Tingen and kills that drive and sends this thing to the second half. Very frustrating if you are a Warner here. I mean, they did drive down to the red zone. I think this was their only drive into the red zone in this first half, and they just couldn't get anything done. And so it's the third quarter. They're down 21-0 here. Warner does get the football though, but it doesn't go super well. After Tingen throws it to the flat and gets the first down, a couple plays later, it's fourth down here. And it's just because, I mean, Thomas was just limiting how many yards they were able to get. Tingen, just not a lot of time to throw to some of these longer developing routes here because of the pressure applied by Jada Reese, and that really hurt them. And so that forced them to punt it, because obviously you don't want to give Thomas the ball in your territory, especially with the way this offense has been playing on fire here, Alexa Wilson, that is. And so here we go, Thomas with a chance to make it 4 scores here. They actually go 3 and out on this drive, or sorry, okay, they get the first down. It's Wilson throwing it to Kiana Cole, who gets them a first down, but following that they do go 3 and out. Wilson does tries a deep pass to Britt Delva on third down, but it's overthrown, so it's incomplete. And so Thomas does punt it here. Warner looking to maybe get a little bit of a break, and so here's what happens. They go ahead and call a double pass here. Jenna Marrero getting the ball, but it's incomplete, so that brings up second down. And on second down, Tingen, she tries to throw the out route here, and she gets it. That goes for a first down. Couldn't see who it was, but I think it might have been Trinity Kieran on that one. And so first down here, though, Madison Tingen drops back. This time the pressure gets to her. Jada Reese gets another sack. That pushes them back a little bit further. That brings up second down here. And on second down here, Tingen throws the football, but Giselle Jones jumps the route here and goes ahead and brings it to the house for a long pick 6 here, going up by 27. They would also get the extra point here to Aaliyah Wood making this catch. That would make it 28-0. At this point, the game is over. This offense is cooking. This defense has been applying a lot of pressure, getting so many turnovers, and it's just frustrating at this point. Now, in the fourth quarter, Wilson would complete another touchdown pass to Kiara Knight. That would make it 35-0. And there you go. That is your final score here. 35 2-0. Thomas beats Warner. Player of the game, I gotta say, has to go to Janae Scott. Those 2 interceptions early on it felt like just screwed with the momentum, with any of the momentum Warner had early on here, especially that one that popped up in the air and she caught off the tip, the first one. That was real tough for Warner to have, and so it could have been Alexa Wilson again. This is another great performance by her, but I think Janae Scott definitely deserves this one. The defense in general definitely deserves a lot of credit. Once more, pitching another shutout, starting the season 10-0 here, the only undefeated team outside of Ottawa, I believe, and so, boom. Now, before moving on, let me go ahead and talk some stats here. Alexa Wilson, Jesus, only 2 incompletions according to the stat sheet. 27 of 29, 195 yards, 4 passing touchdowns. Just really sharp out there. At receiver, her lead receiver was Kiana Cole, 14 receptions, for 74 yards. A lot of those were checkdowns here, but Cole got a lot done, averaging 5.29 yards a catch there. So there you go. Right behind her is Kiara Knight, 56 yards, 5 receptions. On that one, she had a touchdown. Giselle Jones, only 2 receptions, but both of those went for a touchdown. And then Britt Delva had 2 receptions. One of those went for a touchdown. Let's talk defense, though. Lead tackler, Britt Delva with 5 here. Jada Reese, 2 sacks in this game. Janae Scott, 2 interceptions. Also 2 tackles in this game. Giselle Jones had an interception this game. Nakira Brown had an interception this game. Oh my gosh, they were cooking. Like I said, just a great game by Thomas here against a really good Warner team, and so for them to do that, that's tough. Now let's go ahead and talk about Warner. Just a really tough day for them. Madison Tingen, 17 of 32, 139 yards, 4 interceptions. Also got sacked twice. Her lead receiver was Andrea Castillo with 41 yards. Anna Vincentini had 38 yards. And then Cynthia Holmes only 30 yards in this one. Lead tackler was Cynthia Holmes with 9. And no turnovers. So there you go. That's how that went. Another dominant performance by Thomas as they continue to roll here at 10-0. Now let's go ahead and move out west here, at least temporarily, and talk about Kansas Wesleyan versus Cottey College, playing at Cottey. Cottey at home, currently undefeated up until they play Kansas Wesleyan here. And so let's go ahead and talk about this one. So to start here, Kansas Wesleyan actually got into the red zone here. Brianna Hernandez Silva finding Angel Amares on the post route would actually get them into the red zone. She actually almost scores, but is stopped pretty short here. And Cottey does make a little bit of a stand here. Third down, Kansas Wesleyan quarterback Brianna Hernandez Silva tries to scramble, but is stopped for maybe a yard there. And so that does bring up 4th down. And on 4th down, tries to throw it. It's incomplete. That's a turnover on downs. But Cottey, they're not able to get anything going here. They basically go 3 and out, just getting very minimal yardage. And so they go punt it back to Kansas Wesleyan. Now, Kansas Wesleyan, they get straight to work here. They do get a nice return past midfield, so a little bit of a shorter field to work with. And here's what happens. Brianna Hernandez Silva throws the out route to Kieran DeCure. That goes for about 5. Second down, Brianna Hernandez Silva throws the post route to her slot receiver. Couldn't quite see who it was, but she goes ahead and gets them in the red zone. So now they're cooking once more. Second red zone trip here. And on the first play, Brianna Hernandez Silva pitches it. It looks like on a little option route here to Kieran DeCure, who goes ahead and runs it in for the touchdown, making it 6-0. Extra point is no good. Now, Cottey trying to get something going. They start the drive on a positive note, get a nice first down here. It's a penalty, on Kansas Wesleyan, so that does initially give them a first down. Following that, though, not too much more success. A couple drop passes, a scramble for maybe a yard there, and then another, they complete this out route here, so it's not a drop pass, but it doesn't go far enough, obviously. It's like 4th and 6 here, and they decide to go for it here on 4th and 6. I believe they are in their own territory, so definitely a little bit risky here, but they go for it, and Karula throws the dig route to NAIA Bolden, but it's about 5 yards short, and so that's a turnover on downs. About 1:43 left when Kansas Wesleyan gets the ball, and here's what happens. Brianna Hernandez-Silva throws the hitch route to Kieran DeCure, who makes the first tackler miss, and she is gone. 20 plus yards to the house. 12-0 as the extra point is no good. Now Cottey, they do get a first down to start their drive here. Second down here, Karula does throw the out to Joliet Johnson to go get that. That's where they start here in the second quarter. But doesn't get much better in the second quarter as a couple incompletions go ahead and bring up 4th down where they decide to punt it. Now Kansas Wesleyan, they go ahead and they pick up from where they left off here. Brianna Hernandez-Silva scrambles out left before resetting and throwing across her body to the post route for a huge first down. This goes for about 20, and I believe it's Tori. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to get this right. I think it's Wodarczyk. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but she catches this post route, I believe, for a huge 20-yard gain. But unfortunately, some big plays by Carrion Cloyd does force a 4th down here. And on 4th down, Brianna Hernandez-Silva lofts one deep, but it looks to be a little bit of a miscommunication. Receiver was facing the wrong way on this one and was turned around. And so that ends up being incomplete and a turnover on downs. But once more, Cottey not able to get something going on offense, just really struggling here. A couple incompletions would really kill them, and so they go 3 and out. And so Kansas Wesleyan, they do get the ball just near midfield, just before midfield, and Brianna Hernandez-Silva goes ahead and gets the first down of this drive, scrambles past midfield to go ahead and get that done. A couple plays later, it's 3rd down, and it's Hernandez-Silva. She takes off scrambling once more and gets another first down, putting Kansas Wesleyan in the red zone. But Kansas Wesleyan does run into a little bit of roadblock here. Comes down to a 4th down here, a 4th down situation. And here is what happens. Hernandez-Silva scrambles out right before coming back across her body to Kieran DeCure on the dig route, who makes it an 18-0 lead. Brianna Hernandez-Silva would then find Jada Wilson on the extra point attempt to make it 19-0. And that was the score going into halftime. Very much in Kansas Wesleyan's bag here, and they stay in that bag as to start the 3rd quarter. They force another 3 and out on Cottey. Just too many incompletions. You have a drop pass, and then you have an incompletion on 3rd, which I believe was a miscommunication with Karula and her receiver. And so Kansas Wesleyan, they get the ball after the punt here, and here's what happens. It's really interesting. So they punt the ball, and it looks like it's a very much deflected at the line, and players are walking off the field, both Cottey and Kansas Wesleyan players. But Jada Wilson picks up this punt and goes ahead and scores a touchdown. Now, I'm not going to lie. I think after you touch it, well, the next person to touch it after that, it's down. I could be wrong with flag football. I don't know. But regardless, the refs, they didn't blow their whistle. So the play was obviously not dead in the moment, and they didn't overturn this one. And so it was what it was, just a good heads-up play by Wilson to make it 25-0. This game is over at this point here. A lot more fireworks would happen. Cottey, though, would not be able to score. Kansas Wesleyan, final score, defeats Cottey 53-0 here. Just going absolutely crazy, but this defense played extremely well, while this offense was hot from the start here. Player of the game for me has to be Kieran DeCure. 1 rushing touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns in this one. But you know what? I do have some stats, so let's go ahead and talk about that real quick here. Brianna Hernandez-Silva, 16 of 30, 194 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns. Also contributed 62 rushing yards. So there you go. DeCure, she had that 1 rushing touchdown that went for 5. Kendra Velasquez Monroe had a rushing touchdown. She had 19 rushing yards. Her lead receiver, the lead receiver here was Kieran DeCure. 3 receptions, 52 yards, and a touchdown. I think maybe there's a touchdown that wasn't counted. I could have been mistaken here. But I still think Kieran DeCure deserves to be player of the game here. So there you go. And then you got Jada Wilson had a touchdown. Angel Roman had 2 touchdowns, 44 receptions. And then Vanessa Town had a touchdown there. On defense, 2 sacks by Ancian Rabano that led the team. 4 tackles by Lexi Marquez and an interception there as they were cooking. So there you go. Cottey, not too much to put down here. I actually think some of these stats might be wrong. It says Alyssa Hollis had 10 attempts, more than Amaya Karula, but that could not have been right. I'm pretty sure that's Karula. So there you go. At one point, Cottey did put in Jennifer Haberstock. I mean, she didn't do too much better. I mean, this Cottey offense, they just struggled, in this one. Just a lot of mental mistakes, I would say. You had a lot of dropped passes, and, I mean, you just can't be having those, obviously, against a team as good as Kansas Wesleyan, even though their defense did help them out a couple of times here. And so it is what it is. They're going to move on. It is the first loss at home for Cottey. For Kansas Wesleyan, though, they keep it rolling. Second straight road win here. So there you go there. Now, there was another KCAC matchup. Just want to put this out there between the University of St. Mary and Bethel, but that has been postponed. So, yeah, there you go. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about St. Thomas versus Florida Memorial here, Battle of Miami Gardens. Last game here in the Sun Conference, at least this week, that we are covering. And so let's go ahead and hop into this one. It's been a minute since either team has played. But St. Thomas to get the football first. Holly Neer at quarterback here. And she gets them going here. Finds Jada Graham in the flat, who goes and gets them a first down to start this drive for about 10 yards. A couple plays later, third down here, Holly Neer goes to Jada Graham on the curl route, who goes ahead and gets them another first down past midfield. But a couple downs later, it is fourth down here on the edge of the red zone, and here we go. St. Thomas, they go ahead and snap it. Near drops back and finds Jada Graham, but deep, she's wide open here, but it is just dropped, and so that ends up being a turnover on downs. A good ball by Near, but just a tough concentration play there by Graham. So here we go. The FMU, they start with the ball first time today. Haley Stanton in at quarterback. They go ahead and get this thing started with a direct snap to Kayla McDuffie on third down. That would give them a first down here, but a couple plays later, it is third down here. They're trying to get this first down past the midfield. They go ahead and throw it to Erica Johnson, but this one is dropped, and so that brings up fourth down, and they punt it. A quick drive there for FMU. Now, St. Thomas, they do get the ball back, but on the first play here, Holly Neer tries to go over the middle, but Lonisha Howell is there and gets a huge interception for Florida Memorial, and so they get set up pretty well here. I believe they are past midfield at this point. And so on the first play on their second drive, Haley Stanton finds Alexa Nelson on the drag route. That gets them about 10 or so yards and also puts them in the red zone. But let's go ahead and fast forward here to third down. Third down, Stanton takes a shot into the end zone, but it is incomplete. Looks like she was going for the corner here, and it's just not there. And so that brings up fourth down here. And on fourth down, they go ahead and it's an interesting play. They hand it off to Taimilu Santos, I believe, who then throws it to Erica Johnson. And Erica Johnson actually makes this catch and falls backwards into the end zone. But it looks like her flag is pulled right before she could fall backwards, and so she's actually stopped on the one. Tough go there for Florida Memorial, and so that ends up being a turnover on downs. Now let's go ahead and go into the second quarter here. St. Thomas, they do get a first down on an end-around play to Jada Graham. That would give them some breathing room and out of the red zone there, at least Florida Memorial's red zone, that is. And so there you go with that first down play. But on third down, a couple plays in here, Holly Neher goes deep once again, but this one's deflected here. 2 players there, and on top of that, there's a personal foul on St. Thomas, and so that's a 4th down and a quick punt. Now 8:49 left here in the second quarter, still 0-0. FMU with a chance to take the lead. Here's what happens. Haley Stanton on the run finds Santos, who makes a diving catch near the sideline. Just a good throw by Haley Stanton and an even better catch by Santos here to go ahead and get them past midfield for a first down, and that goes for about 20 yards. Then once more here, first down, Stanton goes ahead and scrambles for another first down, putting them in the red zone. Good run here by Haley Stanton. Then a play later, it is second down here, and on second down, they call a direct snap to Kayla McDuffie. That goes for about a yard. That brings up third down here, and on third down, Stanton throws the out route to Kayla McDuffie, who walks it in for a touchdown. That makes it 6-0 FMU. Following that on the extra point, Stanton rolls out right and finds Taimalu Santos for the extra point, making it 7-0 just like that. Now, St. Thomas with a chance to go ahead and reply back on second down. They get a huge gain past midfield for a first down here. It looks like it's a little, I want to say it's a pass here that happened. I don't know why I didn't write it down, but there you go there. So that happens there. And then following that, a couple plays later on third down, Neher goes over the middle to Jada Graham on the slant. She gets about 10 yards, but they also throw a penalty on FMU, which moves STU, St. Thomas, into the red zone here. And in the red zone, they struggle just a little bit here. An illegal block penalty on St. Thomas actually takes away a would-be touchdown here. Neher does evade the rush and finds a receiver in the back of the end zone wide open. But like I said, an illegal block takes that away and pushes them back, which really kills the vibes of this drive. Eventually, it comes down to a 4th down play, and on 4th down, Neher finds Tyler Bryant on the post, but she is stopped well short of the end zone. Obviously, those penalty yards really hurt, but of course, if that penalty didn't happen, then they would have had that touchdown. And so that's how that goes. Now, FMU, they are looking to maybe get something going. There's about a minute 30 left here, and they do get a first down here. Stanton rolling out right finds Taimalu Santos once more near the sideline, making another big-time catch. This connection really good here in the first half. That goes for a first down. Couple plays later here, it's third down, and Stanton threads the needle to Santos near the sideline once more for a huge 15-plus yard throw. That gets them past midfield here. But unfortunately, play later, Stanton is sacked by NAIA Leon of St. Thomas here, and so that will actually kill this drive and send this thing to half. Now, in the third quarter, not too much happens here. FMU does start with the football, but they go 3 and out, partly thanks to another NAIA Leon sack. I believe that's her second, I want to say, of the day, and so that's actually pretty big time. Now St. Thomas, they do get a solid drive down the field, get a nice first down, getting them past midfield, but on 4th down here, they do hand it off to Jada Graham looking for a double pass, and she tries to throw it deep to get them in the red zone, but Ronisha Gibbs gets a huge interception for Florida Memorial, killing that drive. Now, Florida Memorial at this point, they're still leading, and so they're looking to go up by another score and potentially start to put this thing away, and they begin to do that on this drive here. On third down, Stanton evades the pressure and on the run throws it towards the sideline to Lanisha Howell, who gets a huge gain of about 15-plus yards and a first down. Following that, Stanton on the run once more goes ahead and scrambles for about 10 yards. That's another first down in a row here. 2 consecutive first downs to go ahead and put them past midfield. But let's go ahead and fast forward to third down here on this same drive. Stanton forced out left here, throws it deep, a little bit of an ill-advised throw here. No one was really there, and I think part of it is because she was also under pressure and did not want to take another sack. But Tashumba Washington is there and gets a huge interception and actually gets a pretty big return here past the midfield, setting up St. Thomas in a really good spot here to potentially tie this thing up, or at least shorten the gap here. And so that's just a tough mistake to make there by Stanton. But you know, they still got a score, and St. Thomas, they have driven into the red zone or got close a couple of times, but FMU has come up big on defense, that is. But St. Thomas, they got the ball here. Let's go ahead and fast forward to 3rd and 1 here. Reinhardt finds Kaylee Miller on the out route. That goes for a first down in the red zone. And that's basically where they pick up here in the red zone to start the fourth quarter. 3rd down, first play of the fourth quarter in the red zone. St. Thomas with the ball here. Holly Neer goes ahead and finds Jada Graham on the post route, who just gets loose here. Good throw by Neer, and goes ahead and scores a touchdown, making it 7-6. Now 7-6 here. Don't have the lead, obviously. They're looking to tie it, going for this extra point here. They go ahead and throw it, and Sarah Walker, I believe, of FMU gets a huge deflection to keep it at 7-6. FMU is still with the lead, and so if they could get another score, they could potentially still put this thing away, as they do still have the lead. But this next drive doesn't go much better here, as Stanton once more gets sacked by NAIA Leon. That's her 3rd sack of the game, I believe, and that really kills the vibes of this drive, as eventually they would go 3 and out, as they just don't have the yardage to go ahead and get the first down and, you know, overcome those sack yards. And so St. Thomas, they get the ball back with the chance to retake the lead, and they get a pretty good punt return here, multiple pitches on this one, to go ahead and actually get them set up in the red zone. So just some great pitches on that punt to go ahead and put them in a good spot here. So in the red zone here, first down, Holly Neer drops back on the first play and finds Tashumba Washington on the post route here, just burns her defender to go ahead and take the 12-7 lead. Neer throws the out route here and makes it a 13-7 lead. At this point, it's not looking good. St. Thomas with all the momentum here. Still though, 9:36 left in this game, and so let's go ahead and talk about it. Florida Memorial, they get the ball. It starts out pretty positive. Stanton goes back to Onisha Gibbs, who gets them a first down on a quick 4 or 5 yard play. Following that, on 3rd down, a couple plays later, Stanton scrambles left and gets a big first down past midfield. That goes for about 10. That's a huge gain for them. But once again, 3rd down here, Stanton throws a spot route to Howell, who gets them about 8 yards, so a solid gain. That brings up 4th down. They're on the edge of the red zone here, looking to convert. Stanton once more is under pressure by Leon, who's really turning up the heat in the second half, and that actually forces an errant throw, which is picked off by Tyler Bryant. That's a huge one to get at 4 minutes and 58 seconds. And so this game isn't over, but you got to think a couple first downs would definitely put this thing away. And they do get a first down, St. Thomas that is, here. On 2nd down here, it goes over the middle to Kayla Alvarez, who gets them that first down to start this drive. But let's go ahead and fast forward to 3rd down, 2-minute warning here, or just after the 2-minute warning. Neher finds Dominique Parks on the out route, who gets them about 5, but they're about 5 yards short here still. It's 4th and 5, so 1:25, St. Thomas does call a timeout, and at the timeout, they try to get FMU to jump off sides, and they don't, and so they call another timeout, and they elect to punt it. And so 1 minute, 19 seconds left for FMU, a chance to score here and at least tie this game. If they score, if they get the extra point, then, you know, they win it. But first things first, they got to score. And so here we go, first down, about 73 yards to go. Really good punt here. And on first down, once more, NAIA Leon gets her 4th sack, I believe, on Haley Stanton once again. That really hurts this drive as the clock is beginning to tick. I don't think FMU has any more timeouts. And so on second down, they, interesting enough, run a direct snap to Caleb McDuffie. That gets a yard. I don't know why they did that. It probably should have been a pass because at least you could stop the clock with that. And so clock's still running. Third down here. Howell this time gets the snap and they go deep, but this one is just out of bounds. So that brings up fourth down. And in at quarterback, Howell, she goes ahead and gets the snap, tries to throw deep once more. It's almost intercepted by Deshumba Washington once again. Regardless, though, it's batted down, and that's a turnover on downs here. St. Thomas coming back and winning 13-7 with an explosive 13-point quarter and shutting out FMU basically this entire second half here. Player of the game absolutely has to be Deshumba Washington, in my opinion. She had a huge pick and a receiving touchdown. I think Lanai Leon is definitely up there as well. Got a lot of pressure on Haley Stanton, forced some really bad mistakes in the second half here. But Deshumba Washington, she did get that big interception and also that return here, which does, I mean, it's pretty important as well because this FMU defense was playing pretty well. So you could use all the yardage and field positioning needed. And so that return on that pick really helped set up that first touchdown. And then obviously that first, or her first receiving touchdown to go ahead and put them up was huge as well. Just a really good route by her, just losing the defender there. And so there you go, St. Thomas coming back and beating FMU 13-7. FMU, they had this one, they had this one. They also had multiple opportunities to score more than once here, including that one double pass that was marked just short there and some other promising drives. But, these are just one of those things that you got to learn from and move on from. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about the last game here from week 6. That is Ottawa versus Midland. I believe this is Ottawa's home opener here. Their only fourth game of the season, and it looks like they don't have DJ Paris or Lauren Clark. I could be mistaken, but I didn't see them on the field, so just keep that in mind for this game. Midland is going into this one coming off of a very tough loss to Kansas Wesleyan in the closing seconds at home. That's probably one they should have won. Ottawa, quick little road trip to Florida on spring break, beat FAU and UCF by kind of a lot here. Wasn't even close. So there you go. And those are two pretty solid programs. Club programs, that is, just to make sure that's known there. So yeah, but let's go ahead, hop into the first quarter here. Hannah Surquina gets a huge sack. I believe it's Surquina or Surquina. Excuse me if I say that wrong. But she gets a huge sack to start this game here and put Midland in a really difficult spot, kind of backed up on their own end zone here. And on second down, just a horrible snap here, just goes way over the head of their starting quarterback, Michaela Nunez here. Very uncharacteristic, but there's nerves playing the national champs, and so that ends up being a safety. Ottawa taking a 2-0 lead and also getting the ball back. And once they get this ball, they get cooking. Madison Carrera in at quarterback goes ahead and throws it over the middle to one of her favorite targets, Alyssa Linkus, on the post route. That's a huge 35-plus yard play to put them past midfield. Second down here, Carrera on the play action rolls out right and sets and throws to Jaslyn Camacho, who gets loose for a 30-plus yard touchdown to the house, making it 8-0 here. On the play action, Carrera goes ahead and runs it in herself, making it 9-0. Just like that. An interesting lead to take early on, but there you go. Now, Midland, they're trying to get it back here. Already not a great start. And Nunez tries to scramble, trying to get this thing started, but Addie Osborne stops her for a loss of 1. Let's go ahead and fast forward to third down here. On third down, Nunez tries to throw the out route to Casey Thompson. She gets it, and she goes ahead and gets the first down for them. But unfortunately, to start here, following that first down, there is a delay of game, so that does push them back a little bit. So trying to, I guess, work against some of their own mistakes here. It's third down and also trying to get the first down. Nunez rolls out left and throws it to Casey Thompson, who goes and gets the first down once more. past midfield. Casey Thompson looking like her favorite target so far this season. Let's go ahead and keep going and fast forward to third down once more. Nunez tries and lets one go deep here. It actually is on the money and goes for a touchdown, but they actually rule her down before she throws it. A sack by Addie Osborne, making it fourth down instead of a potential touchdown. And so fourth down, they go ahead and decide to punt it. Ottawa with the ball here, second drive in the first quarter and in the game in general. They go ahead and throw it to Madeline Scalisi, who gets them the first down to start this drive. Following that, Carrera takes off left, rushes for about a big 15-plus yard gain here. That goes for a first down past midfield. Now, let's go ahead and go to third down here for Ottawa. On third down, Carrera throws the out route to Dos Santos. That gets them about 5 here. Not enough for the first down, as this Midland defense is not allowing too many big plays after that, after those initial big ones to start this game. And so it's a fourth down and 3. They decide to go for it, and Carrera just goes ahead and scrambles and gets that first down here. Barely, she's a yard or two in front, but still gets it and puts them in the red zone. In the red zone right before the second quarter. Doesn't start super well. 2 incompletions here. One was a post to Jaslyn Camacho, which was just overthrown. She was open, though. The other one was a dig to Camacho, which was a little low. And so that brings up third down here. And on third down, Carrera throws the swing route to Scalisi, but this one's dropped. And so fourth down to start the second quarter. Ottawa in the red zone here. And so on fourth down, Carrera under pressure throws it deep. Tries to get it to Bailey Hodgins, but it is incomplete. But first, there's a flag here. It's a penalty thrown on Midland. That's a PI, and so that actually moves up Ottawa, gives them another chance at this thing. And so here we go. Carrera goes ahead and rolls out right and throws it to the front of the pylon, to the front pylon on the right side here. And that's where Tatiana Dos Santos makes a tough sideline touchdown catch to make it 15-0. Extra point is no good. Carrera is sacked by Sydney Red. And so already down 15-0. Still though, 10:56 left here for Midland. Here is what happens. They go ahead and they throw a slant route here, a quick slant to get the first down. But a couple of struggles here, just not being able to get any big yardage. Just third down here after 2 very short plays. Nunez throws the drag to Diva Jones. This one is dropped. That really hurts. And so that brings up fourth down here. On fourth down, Midland goes for it, feeling a sense of urgency here, trying to get this thing going. And here is what happens. Fourth down, Nunez tries to scramble and pick this first down up, but Addie Osborne gets a huge stop here, huge flagpole. That makes it a turnover on downs. Big plays by Addie Osborne and this Ottawa defense to start. So 9:17 I believe left here. Carrera finds Alyssa Linkus on the drag route that goes for 4. Second down. Carrera throws the curl to Hodgins, who then pitches it to Tatiana Dos Santos. That gets them across into the red zone once more today. But some struggles here. On first down, Madison Carrera is sacked by Sydney Red. That brings up second down here, where Carrera tries to scramble, and she gets a good about 10 or so yards, getting some of those sack yards back, plus a little bit more. That brings up third down here. Carrera forced to check down to her running back / center, Madeline Scalisi here, because of the pressure and good coverage. She gets maybe a yard, so really good defense by Midland so far, bringing up a 4th and 11. And to add on to that, 4th and 11, there's a false start on Ottawa that actually pushes them back. That makes it 4th and 16. On 4th down, Carrera tries to take a shot here, put it into the red zone, end zone, but it is picked off by Alyssa Butler, and she actually tries to run out the end zone here. Gets a couple of yards, but probably would have been better off, just taking a knee or whatever, and taking the yardage there. But 11:17 left, First down, there's a false start that moves them back. So once more, they're backed up into their own end zone here. And so here we go. Michaela Nunez, first down, goes ahead and throws the out route to Diva Jones. But there is a flag thrown on Ottawa. And so that actually gives them a big first down here. A big break for Midland. And so following that, Michaela Nunez throws the hitch to Casey Thompson. She gets about 5 yards, solid gain there. That brings up second down here. Nunez throws it to Cassandra Chavez, I believe either on the I want to say it's on the dig route here. Regardless, she goes ahead and gets the first down pass to midfield as they are cooking. Now, let's fast forward to 3rd and 5 here. Nunez scrambles left and gets the first down, putting them in the red zone here. But once more, another false start does move them back 5 yards. That does hurt them a little bit here. But let's go ahead and once more fast forward to 3rd down. On 3rd down, Michaela Nunez steps up and throws a nice little slant route to Aliyah Livingston. That makes it 15-6 here, pulling a little bit close. A really good drive by Midland to make it a 1-score game basically, or potentially make it a 1-score game pending the extra point, but the extra point is no good. Now, Ottawa, they try to get something going. They do get a huge 20-yard play. Carrera finding Jaslyn Camacho downfield for a first down, but unfortunately, they're just not able to get anything more. And that is the score going into halftime. Ottawa only leading 15-6 here. Midland with some issues that are self-inflicted here, especially considering that safety plus the touchdown that came after that. You remove that, it's obviously a much closer game. So there you go. But let's go ahead and go into the 3rd quarter here. Ottawa looking to pull away a little bit more here, and that's what they begin to do. 2nd down here, Carrera throws the curl route to Camacho, who then pitches it to Linkus. That goes for a big 15+ yard gain and a first down. Following that, first down, Carrera scrambles around here. Not a lot of receivers getting open at this very moment, and so she has to freestyle here. Eventually, she finds Alyssa Linkus, who goes ahead and gets another good 15-yard gain and a first down here. Now, 2nd down here. Play later, Carrera dumps it off to Randria Gamble, who goes ahead and gets a big 15+ yard gain, making a couple players miss and putting them in the red zone. Midland really forcing these checkdowns, forcing her to take these checkdowns instead of some of these bigger plays downfield, which is okay. They're still in the red zone. And so in the red zone here, Carrera once more checks down to Gamble. Doesn't do a lot here. She actually loses a yard. 2nd down here, Carrera throws a swing route to Bailey Hodgins. She gets about 10, so a good gain there. That brings up about 3rd and 5 here. And on 3rd down, Carrera is forced to check it down to Gamble. She only gets about 2 yards. And so that brings up 4th and 3 here. An opportunity for Midland to potentially stop them. But Madison Carrera throws a great out route to Alyssa Linkus. This is just a really good throw. It looks like it might either be batted down or maybe intercepted, but puts a lot of juice on this thing, and Linkus, with the sure hands, brings it in for the touchdown, making it 21-6. Carrera links up with Linkus once more on the slant to make it 22-6. So not quite out of reach just yet for Midland, but it's now a 2-score game, over a 2-score game at this point. And so Midland, they have the ball, definitely trying to get something going here. Here is what happens on this drive. 3rd down, Nunez throws it deep to Alyssa Butler, who basically gets tackled here. The announcer said she was going for the ball. It was a little bit too much. She was going for it, but a little shove there at the end obviously draws a penalty, and so that obviously moves them up just a little bit. They already got the first down though, so there you go there. Following that though, Michaela Nunez finds Diva Jones on the curl, who gets about a 6-yard reception. That gives them another first down in a row past midfield. A play later, fast forwarding to 2nd down, Michaela Nunez goes and scrambles for about 10 to put Midland in the red zone. So Midland rolling right here. And so here we go. In the red zone, first down, Nunez throws a slant to Casey Thompson. That goes for 3. Second down, Nunez goes deep on the corner route here, but it's a little overthrown and it's well covered. That brings up third down here, and on third down, Nunez throws it. It's just a drop pass. So unfortunately, it brings up a fourth down play here. Michaela Nunez goes deep and finds a wide open Olivia Dominguez Millsap kind of up the seam here, making it a 12-22 game. Midland still in this, going for 2 here. They go ahead and throw this one, and it's a good ball here, but it is deflected by Farron Malif, and that is a pretty big play for Ottawa, preventing that extra point and preventing it from becoming a potential one-score game. And so there you go. Still a good drive though by Midland, making it 22-12. Ottawa, they get the ball back. They're looking to continue to build on this lead. Still in the third quarter here. And so here's what happens. Carrera checks down to Gamble. That's good for a 5-yard gain and a first down. Now, second down here, Carrera goes over the middle to Scalisi, who goes ahead and spins out of a tackle, just making defenders miss, and gets a huge gain here for about 20 yards, just right up the middle. Midland just not the best flag pulling on this drive, or on that play specifically, but that gives Ottawa a first down past midfield. So first down here, Carrera goes ahead and tries to scramble, and she does. Gets about 15 to put Ottawa in the red zone once more. So first down in the red zone. Carrera sacked on first down by Sydney Red once more. Sydney Red doing a really good job this game, in my opinion, applying pressure and playing very disciplined defense for the most part here. Second down though, Carrera goes over the middle to Scalisi, who then makes a good pitch to Alyssa Gillespie to go ahead and walk into the end zone, making it a 28-12 game. They go ahead and call the out route here to Scalisi. They throw it to her. She gets it. That's an extra point. That makes it a 29-12 game. This game is basically over at this point here. Not enough time really for Midland to come back in. I mean, they would have to score over 17 points to win this one, but 17 to tie it up. And that's maybe 2 drives at best to do that. 3 most likely though. And so, like I said, most likely it is over here. Midland, they get the ball in the fourth quarter. They do have a solid drive going, but as Suzanne Kaufman kills that thing, that pretty much makes it official there. And so the final score of this thing actually ends up being 35-12. Maya Quinn getting basically a garbage time touchdown at the end to make it 35-12. Extra point is no good on that one. And so Ottawa beats Midland 35-12 here. Player of the game, I think, absolutely has to be Madison Carrera. 4 touchdowns, played very poised here as usual, extending plays, doing a good job for the most part here, not forcing anything and taking things as they come, even though they weren't always the big splash plays there. And so definitely player of the game, and a good win by Ottawa. I mean, this was definitely, it felt a lot closer than it needed to be, not as dominant as it probably was in the past, despite it being 35-12, yeah, of course, but, this was a 12-6 game going into halftime, and even in the third quarter, I mean, it was at one point 22-12 before the extra point here. Really good drive by Midland, and so definitely some improvements by Midland. You got to be really happy about that. Maybe not really happy, but you got to be at least positive about some things, how they played Ottawa there. Obviously, there were a number of plays that you wish that went different, that you wanted back, and were definitely more self-inflicted than anything. But it is what it is. Ottawa, they get another win here. You gotta give them we'll talk about it more in the power rankings. But we'll give them a little bit more leeway here. Maybe not the most dominant win, but it is only their 4th game so far this season. So probably still getting some things going. Plus, like I said, no DJ Paris, no Lauren Clark. At least they didn't get into the game. And yeah. Alright, now let's go ahead and talk about Playmaker of the Week. First things first, of course, talking about all of the players of the game here. First off, let's go ahead and talk about the Midland versus Bethel game here. Player of that game, Keiser Nunez, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown in that one, in a big effort to beat Bethel. Cottey versus St. Mary here. Cottey's player of the game obviously has to be Amaya Karula, 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown, basically the same exact stat line as Michaela Nunez there, so there you go. Now, talking Keiser versus Warner here. I think player of the game for this one has to be Jasmine Roden, 22 of 37, 245 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Technically, she had, I would say, 3 passing touchdowns. One of those was to Haley Young, but I think it was maybe she had to have been behind her, and so that counted as a rushing touchdown for Haley Young, but still contributed on all the scores here as Keiser gets a close win over Warner here, 28-26, in a little comeback victory there. Now, talking Thomas versus Weber here, player of the game, Kiara Knight, 2 receiving touchdowns in this one. This was a blowout, 33-6, but she really got the party started here for Thomas. So boom, there you go there. Now, going to the Saturday slate of games here, Reinhardt versus Campbell. Caroline Small, 2 interceptions in this game. She's the player of the game. Also had a pick 6 there. All defensive scores by Reinhardt. Caroline Small contributing a third of those. Now, Thomas versus Warner, player of the game here, in my opinion, has to be Janae Scott. 2 interceptions early on to really rattle this Warner offense here. Definitely, I'm going to throw this name out there. Alexa Wilson is definitely a name that should have probably been considered here for player of the game and playmaker of the week, but I feel like this Tom's defense played extremely well as well to give her those opportunities, so gotta give them credit. Now, Kansas Wesleyan versus Cottey here. Big win here. Kieran DeCure, a rushing touchdown, 2 receiving touchdowns in this game to go ahead and contribute to this blowout win. And then we have St. Thomas versus Florida Memorial here. Lanai Leon, once again, definitely somebody who should be recognized and considered, but my player of the game has to be Deshumba Washington. 1 pick to set up that first touchdown, another receiving touchdown to take that lead and win the game. So there you go. And then finally, Ottawa versus Midland here. A big game by Ottawa. Madison Carrera once more is the player of that game as they beat Midland 35-12. Now, looking at all of these, a lot of great performances here, but I think our playmaker of the week for week 6 has to go to Keiser's quarterback, Jasmine Roden here. Like I said, 22 of 37, 245 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Also contributed on that rushing touchdown to Haley Young. And then Roden also had a rushing touchdown of her own here. A little highlight reel to go ahead and actually tie this game here in the 4th quarter, and they would actually also get the lead here in that 4th quarter following that touchdown, as Roden does get the extra point play to Chloe Griffin. Those are 2 really big plays, 2 of the biggest plays here. As Warner, it looked like they might upset Keiser, at least at points in the game. It looked like they might upset Keiser. They went up 20-14 here in the 3rd quarter. Keiser would go ahead and score, at the end there, and a lot of that is due to Jasmine Roden. Even that last play, the last score that Keiser had, where she threw it back to Haley Young and she walked in for the touchdown, that did end up being important because Warner would drive down the field and score here in the closing seconds to bring it close. A breakup on the 2-point conversion by Sydney Woodman, who played really well, really helped them out. But I think Playmaker of the Week easily has to go to Jasmine Roden, leading a very good effort here by Keiser. So there you go there. Moving on over to our power rankings, just to review the power rankings from week 5. At 15, Milligan, they haven't played a game yet. 14, Bethel. 13, St. Mary. 12, Cottey. 11, Campbellsville. 10, Reinhardt. 9, Florida Memorial. 8, Midland. 7, Kansas Wesleyan. 6, St. Thomas. 5, Weber. 4, Warner. 3, Keiser. 2, Thomas. And at number 1 is Ottawa. Now, no real upsets this week. each matchup from this week 6, all the higher ranked teams won. So, like I said, no big upsets here. So there's really no movement here in our power rankings, except for one. And we really debated this here on the podcast, myself and Cottey. We also talked with our friends at NAIA F-Ball. Shout out to those guys. We are doing power rankings with them, so make sure you check out their power rankings as well. And you know, myself and Cottey, we made this decision, and it's going to reflect in our votes with those NAIA F-Ball power rankings, but we have decided to go ahead and move Thomas to number 1. So they're your new number 1 team here, Ottawa here, just moving down a spot to number 2, only switching sides. And, you know, it was tough to do. We had to think about it a lot because it's like, well, you know, they're the defending champs, right? How could you move the defending champs down when they haven't even lost yet? But simply what we got to say is that you got to look at Thomas and what they've done this season. Because right now, week 6, I would say, is about the midway point of the season here. Just a couple, like basically roughly over a month left here. That does include the national tournament. And, you know, there's only, first things first, there's only 2 teams that have played as many games or more teams than Thomas. Thomas has played 10 games. And I'm including, by the way, in these stats, I'm including all the games they've played against club teams, 2-year college teams, all that NAIA teams. Warner has played 10 games, same as Thomas here. And Campbellsville has played, it looks like 11 games now, which is 1 more than Thomas. And so Thomas has played some of the most games so far this season. And in those 10 games, they are 10-0. Now, like I said, I got some stats to give you. Points per game offensively. You know, I would say they are more of a defensive team, but offensively, they are no team to sleep on. 32.9 points per game here. Alexa Wilson and Aaliyah Wood have been very good additions to this team. Plus, you also got to consider Keanu Cole did not play for a lot of these 10 games. Really just came back this week, I want to say here. And so she contributed to 2 of those games as a check down option. So there's probably even more touchdowns that they are leaving off the board there. But 32.9 points per game. That is good for 3rd in the country here at points per game. Ottawa leading the entire country with averaging 35 points per game here. Only in 4 games though. And then Kansas Wesleyan averaging 33.4 points per game. So, you know, Thomas only a half point behind. But then you go ahead and look at the points allowed per game. So this is all defense here. Thomas leading the nation in points allowed per game, as in the least amount of points allowed per game here, only allowing 3.7 points per game. To put this in perspective as well, you can't kick field goals in flag football. You just can't. And I mean, Thomas, they haven't had any safeties this season either. And so this is the result of them only allowing 1 team to score more than 1 touchdown on them. And that was St. Thomas at the beginning of the season. And so they've had 9 straight games here where a team has either been shut out or they've scored 1 touchdown. Just think about that. Now, against top 4 opponents, so teams that were ranked at the top 4 at one point or another, that's Keiser, Weber, Warner. Obviously, they haven't played Ottawa, so they're not on there. But, you know, Weber, Warner, Keiser, teams ranked still in the top 4, they have only allowed 6 points between those 3 games here. Beat Keiser 7-0, beat Weber 33-6, beat Warner 35-0, not even allowing a score here. That is insane here. Now, to put things in perspective, talking about, you know, those teams and whatnot, Warner, Weber, Keiser, let's talk about how many points they're scoring per game, how many they're averaging per game here. Weber, 26.6 points per game. That is, I want to say that is 5th in the country right now. It is 5th in the country right now at 26.6. Thomas only allowed them to score 1 touchdown, 6 points. So there you go. Now we have Warner, who is ranked ahead of Weber here, 27.5 points per game. They are 4th in the country right now. Thomas did not allow them to score at all. 4th in the country, 27.5 points per game, and they did not allow them to score at all. Also got to keep this in mind, Warner, Weber, I mean, they're playing Sun Conference opponents. You know, as far as the Sun Conference goes, most of them, I believe, are in the top 7 here in the country in points allowed per game. Thomas obviously leading at 1 here. 5, 6, 7, and 8, that is in the country here in allowing points per game, least amount of points per game, excuse me. You got Warner, Weber, St. Thomas, and Keiser. Warner allowing 13.1 points per game. Keiser at 8, allowing only 15.75 points per game. Even though in Florida Memorial, allowing a pretty low 19 points per game. So that's how that is going. You know, the Sun Conference, just looking at the stats, very good football for sure. Just a very good football. Thomas, I mean, being at the top of that, beating those two teams and beating them pretty convincingly. Like, there was no point in most of these games after the second quarter where I really felt like either Warner or Weber could beat Thomas. After the second quarter, I was like, it's a wrap, basically, because that's how much Thomas was up by. And so, you know, Thomas, they're just on a roll right now. And, you know, they've played more games, 6 more games than Ottawa, and I get it. You know, they allowed their players to go and try out for the trials and do all those good things. That's great, you know, of course, but 4 games is 4 games. Now, this upcoming week, they do play 3 games. I mean, it's against opponents that they should definitely beat by more here, compared at least to like Kansas Wesleyan and Midland, who are both, like, I would say tied for second here in the conference in my eyes. They should definitely beat these other teams that they're about to play, which are in conference games, I believe, by a lot more than they beat, you know, Midland or Kansas Wesleyan for that matter. I mean, they're going to play Bethel and Cottey here, who are both outside of the top 10. And, I mean, look, Bethel has not scored a touchdown this season. So, actually, they're at the bottom here, averaging 0 points per game. Only playing I think they only played like 3 games so far this season because they had to postpone a lot. So, there you go there. Cottey, on the other hand, a little bit better. I mean, they are still on the back end of things in the country, but they are averaging a solid 10.2 points per game. They are allowing 26 points per game. Bethel also allowing 44.3 points per game. So you got to think that Ottawa would probably get over or be taken over those averages. So there you go there. But just regardless, just looking at it, I mean, it's hard to argue for Ottawa when they haven't played a top 5 opponent this season. I mean, in fact, they've only played one top 7 opponent this season, and that's Kansas Wesleyan, who has been just right there at 7. And so, you know, that along with just how dominant Thomas has been against top opponents, specifically, I would say that Warner game really won us over. It definitely won Cottey over. He wanted me to emphasize that them just beating them 35-0, you know, shutting them down 35-0 was really important. And the reason for him, at least, to put Thomas at 1. Now, here's the thing. We wouldn't have put Thomas at 1 if we didn't both agree on it. If I had Thomas at 1 and he had Ottawa at 1, it would have stayed that way. But I think right now, Thomas is the number 1 team in the country. Now, are they the team to beat? No, because Ottawa is the 2-time defending national champs. You still got to beat him. But for now, they are number 1 here. And here's the thing, Thomas, they play Keiser, which is going to be a big game at home on Thursday, I believe. They already beat him once this season, 7-0. That's a pretty close game. If they could beat him again, I think that definitely solidifies them as the number 1 team in the country. Now, in the event that Thomas loses, they would not be undefeated anymore. They'd be 10-1. I would assume at this point, next week, Ottawa would be 7-0. And so then Ottawa would probably move back to the number 1 spot because they're undefeated and they're the national champs, despite, you know, playing a weaker schedule, and I think they know that as well, so it's no disrespect. Regardless, they're probably not going to drop out of the top two, either teams, that is. But for now, Thomas at 1, Ottawa at 2. All right. Keiser and Warner, I mean, they stay here at 3 and 4. Warner, they had their chance to move up here. They just didn't win at all. I mean, they didn't win. They had their chance, but it came down to that last play there. And so that's just kind of tough. They stay at 4, Keiser at 3. But like I said, I do have the stats here. Let me go over this. So I already talked about Thomas and Ottawa. You know, hey, it is what it is. They're 1 and 2. I think they are definitely the big time contenders here. Probably the two favorites, one of the two favorites to win the national championship. But then we have Keiser and Warner here. Keiser at 3. Let's talk about them. So talking about the biggest difference, or I guess technically the smallest difference in offensive points per game, or I guess points scored per game, I should say, and then points allowed per game. I mean, there's only like a 2-point difference here. Keiser, they're averaging about 17.6 points per game, but they are also allowing 15.75 points per game. So that's the smallest margin here, I think, in this top 10 period. That's a really small margin, so that means they're winning a lot of closer games here. They have only played Sun Conference opponents, so you got to keep that in mind. As of right now, the most points allowed has been 26 to Warner. The most points they've scored is 28. I think this is the first time they've scored over 20 points too, so just keep that in mind. And then the least points allowed was to FMU, who only scored 0. As in, they shut them out, so there you go. Oh, by the way, Thomas, 6 shutouts, so just keep that in mind. One of them against a top 7 opponent, I believe, at least. So there you go. That's Keiser. A lot of close games, but they're playing very quality opponents, so I wouldn't say the numbers say everything here. Just, keep in mind, they have been playing some closer games, and they only have played 5 games, so they're 4 and 1. Ottawa and Bethel are the only 2 teams who have played less games, and Milligan, I guess you could throw in there, but they haven't played at all, so there you go. Now, moving on to Warner, talking about some of these stats here. Right now, they are averaging 27.5 points per game. That is good enough for 4th in the country. Very explosive offense. Now, some of those points, did come from that big-time flag football frenzy where they were putting up numbers against some of these smaller schools. So you do have to keep that in mind. That does inflate their numbers just a little bit here. They scored 52 points. That's the most they've scored this season. They did that against Reinhardt. Now, the most points allowed was to Thomas when they scored 35 on Warner. So I think that's more of a testament to Thomas and just how much they had going for them. Plus, Thomas, I believe, also had a couple pick sixes, or at least 1 pick 6. Now, they've pitched 2 shutouts against Cottey and the University of Fort Lauderdale. So there you go there. Right now, they sit at 7 and 3. And look, I said this last week. I'm going to keep saying it. I think they are a dark horse to potentially make the national championship still. They played Keiser really close. I think in an alternate universe, it's a very, very likely that they are at number 3 instead of Keiser there right now. And they just switch spots. And so it's tough, but, hey, it is what it is. Now, then they played Thomas, and that game wasn't close at all. I don't know. They got to figure out something to do to take care of Jada Reese. But even then, you have real tough corners in Giselle Jones, Aaliyah Wood. All of them, Nakara Brown, Kara Knight, they're all really tough to play against in general. I know I said corners, but just in general, just tough athletes. So there you go. That's where Warner sits right now. I think they are very much the 4th best team in the country. They've solidified that, but they do have the potential to be potentially 3rd, I would say. Maybe even 2nd, but they gotta beat Thomas realistically to become 2nd, I would say. And then Keiser, they can beat them. They just didn't this time around. Still have at least one more matchup this season before the Sun Conference and NAIA tournament. So there you go. Now, talking about Weber, they're sitting at 6 and 3 here, playing 9 games. Not too bad. They're relatively close to Warner if you just look at the record. But if you also actually look at the points and at those stats here, they're really close to Warner as well, which is interesting. Warner is averaging 27.5 points per game. Like I said, 4th in the country. Weber, right behind them, averaging 26.6 points per game, only about a point off here, less than a point off here, as they are currently 5th in the country here in points per game. Now, in points allowed, they're very similar as well. Warner at 13.1 points allowed per game. Weber as well at 13.1 points allowed per game. So they're actually tied right here, tied for 5th place. Now, my thing is with Weber is that I don't believe they are as deep as Warner. Warner has all these quarterbacks. Obviously, Tingen, she's top tier. You know, she is the starter. Sam Wilson, I think, is a similar skill level and talent level there with Tingen. But they aren't 4 or 5 quarterbacks deep like Warner is. They have Ciara Zeno, but we've seen just really limited action from her, as it's been mostly all Sam Wilson. Warner, they got Jenna Marrero, they got Shay Crooks, Andre Rodriguez, Courtney Cromer, I believe, as well. I mean, they got quarterbacks who could play, which does affect the scheme of things and how versatile they could be. On top of that, I think Warner also has just a little bit of a deeper receiving core. Cynthia Holmes is up there for sure, but, you know, Weber, they have Caleb Burrows. After that, Weber, I mean, Caitlin Sigmundy, Hayden Roop, you know, Sigmundy, she's still a freshman. She's still coming into her own here. Still playing good football, though. Warner, though, I mean, Anna Vincenzini has been huge. Amiri Logan has been huge. Trinity Kieran has put in a lot of work for them as well. Gotta give her some credit too. You know, that's just to name a couple. Anna Vincenzini, I feel like, has been really underrated. So there's a difference of depth there. And also, I think their defense, Warner's defense, might be a little bit better. But, I mean, just looking at the stats here, Weber really close to Warner. They could potentially move into the 4th spot, but I think the only way they do that is by beating Warner here, straight up. So there you go. Moving on to St. Thomas, they're averaging 20.7 points a game, allowing 13.7 points per game. Not bad. That is good enough for 6th in the country in points allowed per game. As far as points scored per game, they're currently behind Midland right now, and they are 7th. So, you know, they're in the top half, barely, of, you know, points scored per game and whatnot. And I think that really reflects on some of the competition they've played and some of the struggles they've definitely had here. Holly Neer has definitely done well, but, you know, they only scored 13 points against FMU. That's a tough go. Now, those 13 did come in the 4th quarter, but still, though, a tough go there. Eventually, St. Thomas, I mean, they got to bring it all together here. Just get more consistent play on offense here. And then defensively, I mean, 13.7. That's not bad, obviously. But if you want to continue to play with the top dogs here and, you know, potentially make the gold bracket, which is definitely the goal, you could maybe shave off some points. I think the most points they've allowed St. Thomas's is 37. And that was to Weber, who's only 1 spot ahead of them. So there you go there. Now moving on to Kansas Wesleyan. All the teams from here, from this point on, except for FMU, haven't played the best competition. I would say they haven't played just Sun Conference competition. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But Kansas Wesleyan here, you know, they have played some solid comp. They did play Ottawa. You know, they allowed the most points to them, 33. But other than that, I mean, they have had 3 shutouts against Cottey, Campbellsville, and Bethel. That's pretty big. And then they've had some pretty explosive games here. Their most points scored was 60 against Bethel, but they also scored 53, I want to say, in another game, or 50-something in another game, I believe, against Cottey. And so that does inflate some of these numbers. But right now, points per game, 33.7. 33.4 points per game. That is good enough for actually 2nd in the country. Now, you do have to look at the competition and whatnot, but it does show that, you know, they are pretty solidly well coached and they have good players, which we already knew. Brianna Hernandez Silva, Kieran DeCure, I mean, they've all been really, really talented. Now, points allowed per game, they're sitting at 11.3. That is good enough for the top half here in the country, currently sitting at 4th behind Midland, Ottawa, and Thomas in points allowed per game. Like I said, gotta look at the comp, but they're sitting at a solid 6-2 right now. Now, right behind them is Midland, who lost to Kansas Wesleyan just barely. They're doing pretty solid. I think they're definitely a team that could challenge for the second spot in the KCAC, which is important, and maybe even win the silver bracket as well in this national tournament, which would be a good step forward for them rather than a step back, obviously. Right now, averaging 26.1 points per game. That is good enough for 6th, I want to say, in the country, so top half, obviously love to see that. Now, in points allowed per game, only allowed 8.9 points per game here, 3rd in the country in that. But you do have to look at some of their shutouts here that they've allowed that to. I mean, Reinhardt, Bryant and Stratton College, University of St. Mary, Bethel, all teams here, obviously excluding Bryant and Stratton, which they're a first-year program, but looking at Reinhardt, USM, and Bethel, those are all teams outside, I believe, of the top 10. Reinhardt might be in the in 10th right now, but they've also improved since then, I would say, so that's maybe not the most accurate. So just keep that in mind. Maybe not the best comp, but still, beating the teams that they should, that still counts for something. They're sitting at 7-2. Now, the last Sun Conference team right here, I believe at number 9, is FMU. And I mean, they're top 5, or sorry, not top 5, they're top 10 here, but they do have a losing record at 1-5. I mean, they're the only team in the top 10 that haven't won more than one game here. And now they've played really tough comp. They've pretty much only played Sun Conference opponents. They did play the University of Fort Lauderdale, which does help some of their numbers. But right now, only averaging 8.5 points per game. I mean, that's definitely in the back half here of all the teams in the country. That is 10th in the country right now. So just being able to score over a touchdown, that's at around 10th there. And then they're also allowing 19 points per game, which once again is in the back half. I believe that is exactly 10th. So in both points per game and points allowed, they are sitting at 10th, which is just tough. It's obviously just tough. They've had some closer games here, obviously, against really good Sun Conference opponents. I mean, you got to keep that in mind. The most points they've scored was against Warner, 19 in that one, which is 6 points above the 13.1 they usually allow per game, which is pretty good. Didn't win that one. That was a close loss there, though. That would have helped them a lot, though. Now, most points allowed was actually to Thomas, 40 points. And if you're looking at this, I mean, in the top 10, Thomas has scored the most points on 3 teams in the top 10. Warner and Weber and FMU are those 3 teams that they've scored against, most against. So there you go. Now, FMU pitched one shutout against the University of Fort Lauderdale, so good for them, obviously, at 0 points there. And I think that is the only game they've won as well. But as of right now, just some offensive struggles, and I think that's very indicative of their offense right now. They just gotta finish drives. It's not like they're not getting good yardage. Obviously, did not count up and average the yardage here because not every team posts stats, and that kind of kills that. But hey, we're going off of scores and points, so there you go. We'll see if they could potentially get a win here. They're probably a team that's due for a Sun Conference win, at least one this season, which would be big for them. Moving on to the end here, we have Reinhardt at 10. I mean, they're at 3-6. They've played relatively well. They've continued to get better here. I think there have definitely been some offensive struggles, and that it reflects in their 6.1 points per game here. I mean, I think that is 12th in the country, 3rd to last here behind USM and Bethel, which is impressive because they're still here at 10. In points allowed per game, 27.4, once again, that is 12th. They've gotten better as the season has gone on here, and obviously they've played some tough opponents in Georgia in the Sun Conference, but they've also played some first-year programs, and they've done relatively well against them. Now, just looking at some of these things here, most points scored was against Campbellsville, 18. That was from this last week. And those are all defensive touchdowns, by the way, so not even really on the offense. Most points allowed was to Warner. That's tough. I mean, Warner's a deep team, so there you go there. Now, least points allowed here, they pitched a one shutout, and that was to Cottey. Moving on to Campbellsville here at 11. Still trying to get things going, but offense struggling a little bit, only scoring 7 points per game, exactly 7 points per game. That is just ahead of Reinhardt, so they're sitting at 11th. Now, in points allowed per game, pretty solid here, only 17.8 here. Still at the back end of things, but good enough for 8th, or I guess 9th. There is a tie here, higher up on this list, but still good for 8th here in the country. Now, they've had some close games. I think they did play Midland twice, and both of those games were winnable games. They just didn't beat him, and so that's obviously tough here. Now, looking at the most points scored, they did score 31 against Cottey. That was at home. Most points allowed was 39 against Warner, but they did pitch 2 shutouts against Bryan and Stratton College and Cottey. So there you go. And they are 2-9 right now. They have played a lot of games, but they continue to get better. I think they also know where they probably need to recruit at a little bit more, because they have some good pieces around them. They're just not super deep, and most of these players are also playing both ways. And so they're going to continue to get better, just like Reinhardt. So there you go. Now, Cottey is currently sitting here at 12 here. Started pretty good. They have fallen off a little bit, playing some tough competition, mind you, there. Currently, they're sitting at 3-6. Offensive points per game, 10.2. Not bad. I would say it's definitely a step up from last year, at least. So that's good. I think Amaya Karula has been big, but they have struggled with some injuries here and there without Daniela Goodrich, Angie Cruz, at times. So just keep that in mind. Now, points allowed per game, 26. Definitely a little high here. Is it all on the, defense? No, because I know that opposing defenses are scoring on Cottey, so that doesn't contribute to the points allowed per game just a little bit. So it is a little bit on the offense. Now, looking at most points scored, they scored 33 against Bethel, but they also got 53 scored on them by Kansas Wesleyan. Also, by the way, held Bethel to 0. That's their only shutout. Currently sitting at 3-6. Still pretty solid, though, ahead of some programs for sure. And not far behind, honestly, Reinhardt and Campbellsville. Now, talking USM, they've only played 2 games. They've had to postpone some games. It's just been a tough go. Currently, they've only averaged 3 points per game. They've only scored 1 touchdown this season so far. So there you go. They have also allowed 34.5 points per game. 43 was the most allowed to Midland. Least amount of points allowed was 26 to Cottey. So a tough go. The 1 touchdown they did score was against Cottey, and so they're just in a tough spot. They're not super deep here. You do got to keep in mind that they just got back Jerica Johnson and Shannon Cooley. We'll see if those numbers could improve, but also they don't play the most games, so that does affect their average. And then we have Bethel at last here currently. They're not last. They are 13th. 14th, excuse me. Milligan is last at 15th. That's because they haven't played a game, and I don't know if they will this season. But Bethel, they've definitely struggled through their 3 games. Allowed 60 to Kansas Wesleyan. Least amount of points they've allowed was 33 to Cottey. So there you go. And they haven't scored a touchdown yet. So still figuring some things out. Doesn't help that they've played some good, solid, at least, KCAC opponents here. But we'll see what happens for them. So there you go. Just wanted to go over all of those stats. Once more, your Week 6 power rankings go. Milligan at 15, Bethel 14, USM at 13, 12 Cottey, 11 Campbellsville, 10 Reinhardt, 9 FMU, 8 Midland, 7 Kansas Wesleyan, 6 St. Thomas, 5 Weber, 4 Warner, 3 Keiser, 2 Ottawa, and at number 1, your new number 1 team for now is Thomas. Alright, so there you go. A little bit of a longer episode, but you could always skip around if you want. Not as long as last week's episode, which I encourage you to go ahead and check out. It was a good one. But once again, thank you for rocking with us. Go ahead and show some love on social media at Playmakers Corner. We try to update as many games as we can live from there and reposting stuff. If you have any clips or anything, by the way, you want us to repost, just go ahead and tag us or send it our way and we will do it. Anything to grow the sport. Just want to make sure we put that out there. Also, any clips you want us to post on our TikTok or YouTube Shorts, once again, at Playmakers Corner, let us know. We'll do that. Trying to get more clips out there. I know TikTok is up in the air, but at least we'll have YouTube Shorts. Woo. So, there you go. But, hey, work with what we got. Still trying to grow the game regardless. And, yeah, but thank you so much for rocking with us. Catch us next week here as we do have a big week ahead of us. And I will see you later.